Sorry, do we have?
Amy, did you need something? Did you need something?
No, we just wanted to make sure everyone was ready.
Mr. Mejia? Okay. Good morning. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners Agenda Setting Work Session for Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. It's 9:07 a.m. My name is Ty Menser, Chair of the Board. To my left, Vice Chair Commissioner Wayne Fournier, Commissioner Carolina Mejia, and Commissioner Emily Klaus. Commissioner Grant online, County Manager Leonard Hernandez, Assistant County Manager Jennifer Walker, and Josh Cummings, and Clerk of the Board Amy Davis. The meeting is being live streamed to the Thurston County YouTube channel. Written public comment may be received up to 2 hours in advance of the meeting and distributed to the board. Action may be taken at this meeting. And up top, Clerk, you wanted to kind of walk through the agenda with us.
Yeah, I'll just quickly run through the agenda setting agenda. So we'll start with the review of the December 16th business meeting agenda, and I will outline several items and a handful of updates at that time. During advisory boards, I have a few updates regarding Hatch, Pack Mountain, and Planning Commission. We'll then review the 2026 property tax levy certification, which is before you today because it is due by December 15th to the assessor's office, and our next business meeting falls the next day, December 16th. The 5-year homeless housing plan update is a briefing by Public Health and Social Services in response to commissioner inquiries. Agenda item 5 is the public comment pilot review, which is in regards to the 6-month public comment structure pilot that was set to be reviewed prior to the new year. And then we'll have an executive session followed by commissioner items.
Sounds good. Then we're gonna, first off, obviously is a review of the December 16th agenda, and you had some updates on that.
Yes, we have a handful of updates here that I'll start off the agenda review with. So the department items under the commissioner's office, which are all related to the 2026-2027 biennial budget, will be slightly reordered. This is at the advice of legal due to some statutes stating certain things must be approved prior to other certain agenda items.
This is under department items?
Yes, under the
It'll just
commissioner's.
be a reordering, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, under the commissioner's office department items, 2 budget-related items from HR will be added. One is the resolution for the leave buyout fund, which was described in an e-brief on November 17th. The second one is for the 26-27 position control schedule. And an update was included in last Friday's agenda email to the board. And the last note on budget items, consent item 9 is for the resolution, Commissioner's Office Department item 9 is the resolution to rename the department titled non-departmental to countywide services. So the motion will be slightly revised to clarify that it is the rename of a department, not the rename of a fund.
Okay. Any questions for Amy on those? Yeah, Commissioner Claus.
I have a question just because I don't know if I have the latest copy of the agenda in front of me. The one I have in front of me doesn't have any of the changes you mentioned.
Right,
We're gonna
these-
get a new copy.
These changes will come after today's first agenda
Okay.
review and prior to next week.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, then we'll go right back to the top of this proposed agenda for next Tuesday. Calling the meeting to order, pledge of allegiance to be led by Commissioner Mejia. Land acknowledgement, approval of agenda per usual, and then we have a presentation regarding WASAC Project of Impact Award.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Maybe I'll pass over to Commissioners Mejia and Klaus, who are actually at the WASAC conference lunch. I saw pictures of them on the stage holding the trophy. So you wanna talk a little bit about that, Commissioners?
Sure. So this year, the Washington State Association of Counties, similar to the National Association of Counties, did the award submittal, which the county manager promoted, and we had a lot of submissions. Out of the 32 submissions, 20 were from Thurston County, so I was like, there's out of the 5 awards that they give, one of us has to be ours because we had so many. The odds were in our favor, but the executive board nominated awarded the auditor's office with the Your Neighborhood, Your Elections. And so we have the award that me and Commissioner Klaus received on behalf of Thurston County. And so that's just a little bit about kind of what they're doing, and it will be highlighted later on. The Washington State Association of Counties is going to be doing a series. They released they did one on Chelan this past week, and they're gonna be kind of giving more information on each of the projects as the year goes on.
Let's give it up for the auditor's office. Anything you'd like to add, Commissioner Klaus?
No, I think Commissioner Mejia hit on all the main points, but just congratulations to the auditors team. I'm not surprised watching them win another award for all the great work that they've done. And I'm really proud of being a part of a county that has such a strong auditors team, so thank you.
All right, next up will be public comment related to agenda items and then county manager update.
Nothing to report at this time.
Okay. Consent item 1, interlocal agreement with Washington State Department of Commerce for security camera software. This is an auditor's office item.
Yep. Good morning, Tilly.
Good morning. For the record, Tilly Polar, Elections Manager for Thurston County. With me is Carrie Walk, our Business and Applications Administrator who handles our IT here in the Auditor Elections Office. This morning, we are asking the board to approve an interlocal agreement with the Washington State Department of Commerce to procure and install software on existing security cameras at our voter registration center over in Mottman for the amount of $35,104 and authorize the auditor to execute the agreement in any amendments that do not exceed 10%. For your reference, this is a grant that we had applied for and received for these funds, and so now we're just at that next step in the procurement side of it, and then also to execute this agreement. Any questions for us?
I have a question. What was the dollar amount you mentioned?
$35,104.
Okay, I heard it differently than you said it, and so I was like,
Sorry.
wait, no, that's okay, not your fault. Okay, that's my only question for now, but I do have other questions.
On this item,
Yeah, I guess I could,
go ahead.
okay. I did see that there may be a need to go into executive session on this item, is that correct? If there were questions, specific questions?
Yeah.
Okay, I do have specific questions about the contract itself. I don't know if those are appropriate for the open meeting or,
Probably be best on the advisement of our council to jump into an executive session. And at the board, at the chair's pleasure, maybe we could do that at the end of the agenda.
okay, yeah, I'm okay with whichever time.
Is that right? Okay,
And maybe we need to queue up,
so we'll finish the proposals to finish review of this business agenda, then do the executive session to capture any questions or concerns or about this item.
Perfect,
You can
thank
hang
you.
around for that.
Yes,
and do we need to get the PAO representative?
we will. Yes, we've been in contact with our legal counsel.
Thank you so
Yes.
much. Thanks for the update too.
You're
Appreciate it.
welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, then we'll just move along and come back to this item. Item 2 is a resolution amending Thurston County Section 457 Umbrella Plan, HR.
Morning, Maria.
Good morning, Commissioners. Maria Ponte. I'm here today to ask you to approve a resolution amending the Thurston County 457 Umbrella Plan and Trust Document. 457 plan is commonly known in the county as a deferred compensation plan, and it allows employees to invest pre-tax dollars. The federal government made significant changes and now allows the county to offer a Roth IRA, which is after taxes. So the plan amendment would allow for that to occur, as well as previously, employees could only change their contributions on the first day of the following month. With these amendments, they actually can make them effective immediately. There are a few other administrative changes that are reflected in these amendments. We worked with legal to update the plan, and it's been approved by them. I did previously send a brief explaining these changes in more detail, but if you have any follow-up questions, I will be happy to try to answer them.
Questions for Maria on this item? Good to go there?
Thank you.
Thank you. IT is next, contract with Tyler Technologies for replacement of tax evaluation and tax collection system.
Hello. Good morning, Sherry Ilg, IT Director. Hi,
Morning.
thanks for coming.
Oh, you're welcome. Wouldn't miss this.
So there's some history behind this one. In 2017, Thurston County contracted with a vendor to determine the large application replacements needed in the county. Ascend and Sigma were identified as both needing to be replaced. They were implemented in 1997, so they're pretty old. Ascend and Sigma were identified, but they were still being supported by the vendor with no plans to discontinue that support, so they were prioritized lower on the list, even though the application was pretty old. We had planned to start the replacement project in late 25 or early 26, but due to resource and budget constraints, that has led us to delay the project. The vendor is excited to maintain our loyalty, and they're willing to sell us the solution at 2025 costs if we sign the contract this year. We have until March of 2028 to kick off the project, and if funding is not available by March of 2028, we have the option to void the contract without penalty. So we're asking to sign the contract with them to maintain the discounts they are offering and to set the contract at the 2025 rates.
Commissioners, I think this is a really creative solution, an environment where we know we need to get this project done. So appreciate the offices being patient, knowing that we are having some, working through the challenges with the budget, but also to lock in the pricing that takes us all the way to 2028, so we have that time to implement. And our hopes are, by that time, that things have turned around and that there's available funding to move this project forward, which we know we need.
Yeah, and I'd like to add Jeff Gadman, Thurston County Treasurer, and I really want to thank you all for your time and consideration of this. A little bit more history. because it is an older application and the software has actually been sold 4 times since we bought it. In 2013, the owner of the software at that time, Manatron, notified all their users across the country that they were gonna stop supporting the software in 2018. So as you can imagine, there was some panic, so we were still in the recession. Fortunately, there was enough protest to that they said, okay, we will support it indefinitely. Subsequently got sold to Harris, who owns it now. And while they are supporting it, they are not updating it.
That's correct.
Part of our maintenance contract is that they will provide edits to the software in response to RCW changes, so we are still getting that. But we've got to recognize too, I mean, 4 counties in Washington State have drifted away from Ascend, Sigma Ascend, just in the last 3 years. So there's only a small handful of counties across the country that are still using this software. And at some point, Harris is gonna, oh, come on, we gotta pull the plug. So we've looked at the Tyler solution and it appears to be exactly what we are looking for in a modern software system. I'll let the assessor's office speak for themselves, but I was really happy with it. And the way that this contract is set up, I think it's a no-brainer. There's no penalty if we can't figure out the financing over the next 3 years. So, yeah, I encourage you to please approve this.
Questions? Commissioner Mejia?
I have questions about Tyler Technologies and how we landed on them. I know that they run quite a few systems in Thurston County. And I have heard a lot of the issues with those systems. And so wondering, how did we land on them? And are we sure that whatever they're promising is what we're going to get?
Yeah, Dan Janiga, Thurston County Assessor's Office. We've been looking at vendors since 2023. There's not a lot that are in our state. There's only 2 companies that actually have systems in our state now. Harris owns the rest of them and Tyler's the other. One of the benefits of going with Tyler is we're able to utilize this Sourcewell contract. So we wouldn't need to go through an RFP process. But I think beyond that, the solution actually covers everything that we do. We've talked with, I personally 10 to 15 different jurisdictions that are using it across the country, and everyone has been really, really impressed with the solution. Everything that we've looked for that in a software, it meets all of those. It provides public-facing solutions. It takes all these homebrew pieces that we've built to support an old system and it's combined them all into one. They've been really great to work with. We've met the implementation team. I know I have heard things of other pieces that there are other products because they do offer software for every single government topic from ERP to permitting and whatnot. The assessment and tax solution has been overall very well received from all of their customers. Our other option that we had looked at is being implemented by Snohomish County, and I think they're in year 9 of that process, so it hasn't been very smooth.
Year 9?
9.
Oh, wow.
From the start to, and I don't even know that they're live with it yet.
I don't think so.
So Tyler was far and away above the rest of them, the solution, and the fact that we were able to go through Sourcewell just makes it an extra bonus. And we're not alone. I mean, Lewis County and Pierce County are also in the process of implementing their solution too.
Well, and I could speak a little bit to the support. Sometimes when these large conglomerates start to absorb applications, their customer service does tend to wane a little. And then they right size and then it gets better and then they acquire more. And so it's pretty typical in the industry that these large companies go through periods of really, really poor customer service.
And I wanna add, so the system that's being implemented by Snohomish County, that company has struggled with implementation nationwide. It has been very, very problematic. The other solution that we had in front of us is also owned by Harris. And right now that's operated in 17 out of the 39 counties, and none of the counties like it. And implementing complex changes in RCW has been very, very problematic. They've actually missed deadlines for the effective date of state laws, which has been tremendously problematic in trying to get tax statements out on time and assessment notices. So it just seems like Tyler right now is the best option that is in front of us, and we were impressed with the several demonstrations that we've had.
And from a assessment point of view too, Tyler, and East Coast, a lot of assessors' offices, contract out their valuation and appraisal services, and Tyler is a major player in that. So they're not just building that software, they're actually using it for what we do in our office. So it's kind of unique in that sense that they actually build a software that they use to do the job that we're doing, where these other ones are software companies that build software based on what they're told from customers instead of being actual users of it. So from the assessment point of view, it's kind of the gold standard in our industry.
Commissioner Grant? Commissioner Grant? Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I might have missed this, but so just correct me if I'm wrong, but it says contingent on continued pursuit of project funding. And so where are we looking for project funding on this?
The plan is to request that funding in a future budget cycle. We have collected money for the replacement of the application, but in order to maintain and use it in the future, we will have to adjust our budget at some point.
So that request would be
That would be a general fund request that would come through.
General
Okay.
fund.
It would be part of the biennium build in the future, Commissioner.
okay.
Yeah, pending available resources, of course.
Yeah, and another upside to this particular contract is the pricing is locked in. You know, if we don't do this, we're gonna have to explore solutions in the future, unknown price tag on it, and so I think right now, with no penalty for walking away, I don't see a downside.
So we're gonna sign the contract, but without any funding attached to it currently? Is that?
Yeah. The basis of the
Okay.
contract is to keep, as the assessor and Sherry mentioned, is to keep the terms and the pricing locked in. They're giving us a window of implementation up to 2028. And if there is no funding, then we can walk away, but our hope is that our economic situation turns around, and this would be one of the priorities that we would bring forward.
Okay.
All right, sounds good, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Next,
Go
Am I
ahead,
still
contract
here?
amendment
No.
with just
Okay.
appraised.
just appraised, but for the assessor's office.
Enjoy your day, everybody.
So the assessor's office has been using Just Appraised software since 2021. The software allows them to streamline the review process of documents filed with the treasurer's office and recorded with the auditor's office. There is a web access add-on that allows senior exemption requests to come through an online portal, which would lower the traffic at their desk and give the customers more options for applying for those exemptions. The cost of that is $9,000 to implement, and it will increase the cost of the contract that we currently have by $45,000
Over 3 years.
over 3 years. So the total 3-year contract, which it's time to renew the contract for maintenance, will be $209,775 plus tax, if approved.
Commissioner Mejia?
Where is the funding coming from?
So it would be absorbed into our current budget. Our rates and other funding solutions.
So can I do a follow-up to that?
Absolutely.
So, right, usually it's absorbed, but then it goes into the maintenance rate of the next year, so then that would still be a general impact to 2027. So I'm just wanting some clarification on that.
Yeah, so from what I understand from the assessor, I think he was going to use some of our, like from mailing or extra help or other pieces of our budget. I mean, this was to counter, like, so we had requested additional FTE because the senior exemption program has expanded. And this was a solution. It makes entering the exemptions more efficient, saves time, things like that. So it's like a low cost way to help offset the additional workload that we're facing. But yeah, so it was through, like I said, either savings in mailings or extra help or things like that.
What we can do, commissioners, follow up with our budget team, but Summer's not down here at this moment.
She's behind you.
Oh, there you are. So Summer, can you come to the table and just kind of let's talk about how we're funding this for 26, 27? You're in my blind spot, sorry about that.
That's okay.
So the commissioner's question is, if they're gonna cover it in 26, will it become part of their maintenance of level budget in 27, where thereby kind of raising the general fund requirement?
Typically, yes, if office or department absorbs a cost in 1 year, then it is included in the following year if there's a cost associated in out years.
Have we had conversations with the assessor about his ability to
Absorb the cost moving forward.
26 and 27?
Yes. So we have had the conversation about absorbing the cost. We can implement, we can set the budget up for their department or their office so that there isn't an increase to the budget if they're gonna continue to absorb it through the duration of the contract.
So we can verify that with maybe someone and can connect with Jeff's team offline, and we can bring that back for next week or follow up with an email confirming that they plan to absorb it for 26 and 27.
Thank you.
Other questions for Sherry or Summer? Alright, thank you guys.
Another one.
Yeah, okay. Next
I said
up is
excuse
Dell
me.
Power Edge servers.
So I am requesting approval to purchase 2 Dell Power Edge servers, which total $50,797 plus tax. The Dell Power Edge servers are the devices that host our virtualized server. There are several of these and we have a replacement plan. We replace them every 5 years and we rotate the replacement of the servers themselves inside the larger. It's part of our maintenance. We've been collecting money to replace these servers for years. Part of our
Questions?
regular replacement plan.
So it's from the reserve. Any questions on this item? Thank you. Next up is item 6, Amendment 11 to the Washington State Department of Health Consolidated Contract.
Hello.
Morning.
Good morning. Jen Freiheit, Director of Public Health and Social Services. And yes, this is a request to approve amendment number 11 to the CON, providing an increase of $175,963 for a revised maximum consideration of $10,449,794 for the duration of January 1, 2025 through December 31, 2027. And I'll point out just the changes that came through this specific amendment. It adds a statement of work to immunization, communication, and health education, so that's just over 16,000. And then it amends the statement of work for things such as foundational public health services, maternal child health block grant, perinatal Hep B, And I in particularly wanna point out three amendments, which is our public health infrastructure grant. It adds 200,000 to that particular portion. That grant allows us to pay for things such as travel, training, conferences, that sort of thing. It adds, it restores our FEP funding. I came to you in June, I believe it was, when they decreased our public health emergency preparedness funding down 25%, and surprise, surprise, they made us whole at 100% again. So it adds 25% back in. And then it also just, it's not a funding thing, but adds some clarification to the statement of work on our septic local management plan, which will become before the Board of Health this evening. So those are the changes to the most recent CONCON amendment. Any questions?
Questions? Doesn't look like it, thank you.
Great.
Next up, item 7, also public health, and it's revised 26-27 Thurston County Criminal Justice Treatment Account Plan.
Yes, and this is the request for the board to approve the revised 2026-2027 CJTA plan detailing uses of the funds from the Healthcare Authority as recommended by the local panel. And we can further the conversation from last week as far as the board approved the updated plan for on September 16th, 2025. For the state fiscal year, and then CJTA revised the plan to align with their shift from an annual to biannual, but this particular piece comes forward as then how do we allocate that funding? And I have Shaylin Sowers here to help answer any questions.
I appreciate the confirmation that you received from the two funding partners that had their funding adjusted by the CJTA. Thank you for getting both of those email confirmations.
Happy to do so.
Yeah, and as of late yesterday, from one of the funding partners, there was some additional information that we can round up on later today and just talk through. I think there's a question about the overall funding amount that has come through. And if that has changed, is that similar to previous years?
It has not changed. We're still receiving $369,933 per year.
Has the amounts that we're funding each program, has that changed at all?
Yes.
And what was the basis of that change?
The basis, we have three main factors. So one being the expected increase in the DUI and drug court census from 70 participants to 85 participants. So that means about 15 more people are getting more treatment and urinalysis testing for about 12 to 24 months. Second is a greater utilization of domestic violence treatment services through public defense. And then thirdly, the availability of local housing. So being stably housed increases the likelihood of being successful in treatment and also reduces the likelihood of future justice involvement. So it's been a very important aspect of the CJTA panel's considerations with the budget. So to respond to these, the panel recommends prioritizing CJTA towards substance use disorder treatment, domestic violence treatment, and housing support.
Thank you for the response, well done.
You're welcome.
We'll talk a little bit more after.
Yeah.
Can I ask on the housing element that you hit on? So like what specifically is happening that's different? Like there's more money for trying to find folks housing subsidy, or like what exact programs being increased?
It would be through so Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Administrative Services Organization. They fund through a partnership with Northwest Resources, a housing case management program. And so that was where the CJTA funds would be recommended towards, and they have also been receiving funds through the same funding source for several years. And they're always able to serve more people with housing and rental support and case management.
Anything else from the board?
I would like to remove this item to department items.
Okay, we have that noted, Madam Clerk. Okay. All right, then we'll go to the next piece, which is Public Health Social Services contract with BHASO for co-occurring disorder intensive case management services.
All right, this is a request for the board to move to approve the contract with the ASO to providing co-occurring disorder intensive case management, ICM services for a total maximum amount of $200,000 per calendar year for the duration of January 1, 2026 through December 31, 2027. The BOCC decided on September 23 to reserve 1 million of the opioid settlement funds, 800,000 for MOUD in the Thurston County Jail, and 200,000 to fill treatment sales tax budget deficits that would impact the contract with the ASO. And a crosswalk was done between Katie and Shaylin and the ASO to determine how best to spend that 200,000. And ICM will provide substance use disorder assessments and or case management services to adults to reduce their risk for future justice involvement and support their entry into recommended substance use disorder or mental health treatment. And I have Katie here to help answer any questions.
Thanks for quickly working to implement the board's decisions just several weeks ago. Appreciate your quick response and partnership internally. Well done.
Thank you for this.
It's like lightning fast for government.
That was
That was quick on this, so
It
good
was
job.
really important to us that there wasn't a lapse in contract with the ASO, just because they're such a great partner, so knowing that their TST one was gonna end at the end of the year, wanting to not have to backdate a contract and have that question.
Good coordination.
Any other questions or comments from the board on this item? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Item 9, PHSS, again, veteran project grant contracts.
Next. Yes, this is a request for the board to move to approve the contracts for the Veterans Project Grant Funds to the Lacey Veterans Service Hub, Rebuilding Together, Thurston County, and Thurston County Food Bank for the contract period of January 1, 2026 to December 31, 2026. It was on August 5 of 2025 that the Board of County Commissioners approved the release of the request for proposal for the Veteran Project Grant, and this is funded through the Veterans Assistance Fund. The RFP specifically sought proposals that supported housing stability and basic needs, mental and behavioral health support, employment, training, financial counseling, suicide prevention and crisis support, transportation for medical appointments, legal aid, and other projects that align with the Veterans Advisory Program mission. So 6 proposals were received on time, and the Veterans Advisory Board met on October 27 and November 17th to go over them. And Mark Moppett is here to help answer any questions about it.
Commissioner Klaus?
What was the total amount available? I see that the total amount for your funding summary is $282,800. Was the cap like 300,000 or what was the,
250 was the cap.
okay,
We went over that just a bit.
okay. And I imagine that's coming from somewhere, the additional,
It's coming from the Veterans Fund.
okay. Do you typically go over, is that like, can you maybe explain a little bit about how those decisions were made?
So we had six applications, only 3 of them were moved on from the advisory board. And they saw the benefit of these 3 and it went over a little bit and we have the funds available with the veterans. If there's a different way that we should do it, that would be, maybe we come back for that extra 30,000.
Oh, no, I was just
This was the
curious.
first time we ever had this specific RFP,
I
so
was
it's the
just
first time.
curious, because I didn't see a dollar amount on the consent agenda. So I was just wondering what the total amount you had available was. So yeah, I'm not saying you did anything wrong, I was just curious. And then I was wondering what the other 3 applications were.
I do have the expert out here, if you want me to bring her up, she can discuss the other 3.
If that's appropriate for the open meeting, I understand sometimes these processes can be sensitive. So no worries if not, but I think these are 3 great projects. I'm always just curious when we get RFP recommendations, kind of like what that process was and how things were selected, so.
In general, there was one from out of state, they were asking for the entire amount, the 250. And much of that was travel back and forth from California, so that wasn't really viable. There was one local that it was, again, they asked for I think the full amount, and it was more about a holistic healing and but the advisory board was more pragmatic and they wanted to go this direction with those funds. But we can get that other information too if you'd like.
Okay, it sounds like this was definitely a really thoughtful decision, so I know you have to spread resources in the best possible way and there's not enough resources. So it sounds like you all did a good job with that balance. Yeah, I don't think you need to send me any follow-up info. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Mejia?
I would like follow-up info. So, yeah, I would like to see the six, who the six applicants were, and then the amount that they requested, and the amount that they were granted. Just that way I can visualize, right? And then, of course, there were decisions to go 30 over, which our Veterans Fund is healthy, and one of the reasons we're doing this, which is I'm very excited of the organizations that were picked. But kind of want to kind of see that laid out, if that would be very helpful for me. And then let's see. And then maybe like, I guess this, I guess tied to this, but more in the future, like next year sometime, getting a follow-up from the Veterans Advisory Board and maybe getting some feedback from them on the grant contracts, right? Maybe things that they saw, things that they would like to see in the future, getting that feedback from them and seeing kind of where our Veterans Fund is at, because it's maybe that the board decides to raise the capacity for how much funding goes out. I know that's always a possibility, so, yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, we'll, the clerk will work with Dr. Fryheit, and we'll send that information out to the full board, so everyone gets it. And then we'll also work with the department in the new year to get a briefing.
I did remember the second one, that was the DAV, Disabled American Veterans. The only reason that was turned down was because they didn't have a way of meeting their criteria for the Veterans Fund, which we still have to meet.
Great. Thank you.
Public Works is next with an increase to existing solid waste change funds.
Okay, good morning, Commissioners. Karen Lees, Public Works Director. This is a request for the board to approve a resolution that increases our change funds at our 3 solid waste facilities, the Waste and Recovery Center, Rainier, and Rochester drop boxes by $1,000 each. This is planning for our proposed solid waste rate increases as of January 1st of 26. Our intent is to provide adequate change in the appropriate denominations, AKA small $1 bills in many cases, to meet customer transaction needs. And just as awareness, our change funds are governed by significant financial controls, including daily verification and dual reconciliation. Questions?
Questions on solid waste change funds?
Should be an easy one, I hope.
It's an easy one. Thank you, Karen. All right, appointment to the Fair Board is next, and we have 4 appointments to the Fair Board. Madam Clerk?
These are the 4 appointments to the Fair Board that the board provided direction on last week.
Sorry, Madam Clerk, can you repeat what you said?
That's okay. These are just the Fair Board appointments that the board provided direction on last week.
Any questions on these items? No questions. Voucher list from November 11th is item 15. Okay, any questions on that? Before we move to department items, Assessor Drew's here and had an answer for one of the questions that was asked from the board on his item. So if we could call him up. Thank you. Just to nail that down, all we got.
Good morning. You had a question about the initial fee and the annual fee for this module that we're working on to service the senior exemption program. Numbers are somewhere in the neighborhood of 9,000 and 15,000, so a total of 24,000. We will absorb those in our service rates, so we have room for that. This is an absolute priority for our office. It will save us more in administrative expense than the annual cost and the startup cost. And so we have the capacity to absorb it. It's a very high priority for our office. So I am in discussions with Summer on a number of things, but But really didn't think that this was gonna come up because it's the size of the number, but that's my answer.
Right now, every penny counts, especially with the size of cuts that we're looking at, Assessor. So, my question was in terms of the ongoing, right? Not for 2026, you're able to absorb it, but once it goes into the ongoing years, it's usually tagged on to the maintenance request, which is it's an impact to the general fund. So,
Be a $15,000 annual impact.
so my question is, are you able to absorb it ongoing?
So, Commissioner, it would be extraordinary for us to have to absorb that ongoing. I don't know of another example of that. But if your answer is you'd only approve it if we're gonna do that, then I would say yes. We're gonna have thousands of new applications in the senior exemption program because the update that comes this next year will lift the thresholds by something like $20,000. And so we'll have a huge wave of new applicants. And so the only way for us to meet that is and the bill has in it a change which allows people to claim a standard deduction. And so when they claim with a standard deduction it replaces what could be several hours of review of documents and multiple meetings to have an applicant justify their household income. The standard deduction removes that. So with this module, we're able to take online applications and process them simply with an attestation and a choice. And that saves all of that administrative time. So it's totally essential to us, given our staffing level, that we move forward. So if we're forced to take the annual maintenance of that expense, which is part of generating the tax roll each year that the entire county uses, which would be extraordinary, we will do that in good cheer because it's essential to our survival that we get this module.
That would be my request.
Okay, thank you.
And if possible, if we could move forward, it would be a great help. Thank you.
Understood. Any other questions before I let Assessor go? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We're up to department item under commissioners, and that is a whole series of resolutions related to the budget.
Correct.
Should we have Summer come up and just walk through them
That'd be great.
in one block? Is there something we do
Good morning.
every year or two?
Okay. So the first is a resolution adopting the 26-27 biennial capital budget. And that includes the road fund and all other county funds pursuant to RCW 3640, 70, 3640, 71, 3640, 250. The Board of Thurston County Commissioners held a public hearing on December 1st for the purpose of receiving public comments on the preliminary 2026 and 2027 biennial Thurston County capital budget, and the board conducted deliberations on the preliminary 2026-2027 capital budget pursuant to RCW 3640-080 on December 3rd. This hearing and the subsequent deliberations was properly noticed in the county's newspaper of record on November 13th, 20th, and 26th. The second, would you like me to continue?
Yeah, just keep going
Thank
unless
you.
there's a question. Raise your hand if you have a question on anything, but otherwise I'll have her keep going through the different resolutions.
Perfect, thank you. So item number 2 is a resolution relating to the adoption of the 26 and 27 biennial Thurston County operating budget, including the general fund, the road fund, and all other county funds. The Board of Thurston County Commissioners held a public hearing on December 1st for purpose of receiving public comments on the preliminary budget, and the board conducted deliberations on December 3rd. This was also properly noticed with the county newspaper of record on November 13th, 20th, and 26th. Item number 3 is a resolution to authorize an increase in property tax revenue in both dollars and percentage for the current expense, road, and conservation futures and Medic One funds as authorized by RCW 365510.
And that's an item we're discussing later today.
Yes, well, you will be having, let me start again. I will be presenting a presentation on certifying the property tax. This is adopting the increase in tax. So 845510 limits the annual increase of property tax to 1% or the rate of inflation, whichever is less, in addition to any amount resulting from the addition of new construction improvements to property and any increase in the value of state assessed property. The assessor's office provided preliminary values on November 10th and certified values on November 20th. And the Board of County Commissioners provided proper notice again on November 13th, 20th, and 26th on the public hearing on December 1st to consider revenue sources. Item number 8 is a resolution to create a public safety sales tax based off HB 2015. So Washington State Legislature approved House Bill 2015 during the 2025 legislative sessions, supporting 2 additional funding mechanisms to support law and justice, including a local law enforcement grant and a new public safety sales tax. This is a resolution to adopt a councilmanic 0.1% sales and use tax for criminal justice purposes that substantially assists the criminal justice system, including those activities where ancillary benefits are provided to the civil justice and behavioral health systems in Thurston County. And the Board of County Commissioners may take councilmanic action to impose a 0.1% sales and use tax after certifying requirements met to receive the CJTC grant, and because the county has not rejected or repealed criminal justice sales tax under RCW 8214-340 in the previous 12 months. And lastly is item number 9. This is a resolution to amend the name of the currently non-departmental department, number 240, to a new name of countywide services to better reflect the department and fund and its uses across Thurston County. Happy to answer any questions if you have any.
You skipped 4 through 7.
Oh, those are, we're gonna be spoken to
Okay.
by Public Works and CPED.
Okay, so as to items 1, 2, 3, 8, and 9 that Summer just reviewed, questions on what we're doing there?
Which numbers did you just say?
The ones she just
All of
covered were
them.
1, 2, 3, 8, and 9.
Okay,
We're about to go into 4, 5, 6, and 7.
okay.
Okay, then let's go to item 4.
Thank you, Summer.
Are we good? Okay, thank you.
That's-
Item 4 is resolution adopting the indirect cost plan.
And there's no one from financial services. Okay, well, I will.
We'll have Summer pinch hit on this one.
Sure, so it will be a resolution,
Just a second. We have
Who are we
Jen,
expecting? Auditor of Financial Services?
the presenter is Melissa Hutchins. I saw Jenny just jump on. Jenny, can you hear us? Maybe we can come back to that one, Chair, and go to the others and see if we can get Melissa, see if she's free. The clerk will see if she can round that up.
Okay, and item 5 is resolution adopting the 26-27 equipment rental rates.
That is Central Services. Good morning, Kim. Good morning, Bruce.
Good morning, Kim Burnett, Director of Central Services. We're requesting approval of the resolution to adopt the 26-27 equipment rental rates for the equipment owned by the Equipment Rental and Revolving Fund. RCW 36.33A requires counties to establish an equipment rental and revolving fund and directs its use and administration. In accordance with this statute, rates are established to pay for the maintenance and operation of equipment and to save for future replacement of county equipment. The resolution establishes rates for equipment owned by the fund, determined and certified by the county engineer, and subject to approval by the Board of County Commissioners. The resolution also states that the Director of Central Services has determined the rates identified in the attachments A through E are appropriate for the maintenance, operation, and replacement expenditures. And the attachments that are included are the 26-27 maintenance, operation, and replacement rates, the 26-27 equipment list, the equipment hourly rate list for 2026, the certification memo from the county engineer for 2026, and then the pool vehicles rental rate sheet for 2026 and 2027. And I have Bruce here to answer any specific questions you might have.
Questions for Bruce or Kim?
Just a thank you to the staff who are operating the environment with, as we continue to work through TC Connect. Appreciate the work that goes into for you and your team. So those that aren't here are doing the hard work of getting in the system, pulling information out. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is resolution adopting the 6-year transportation improvement program for the calendar years 2026 to 2031.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm County Engineer Matt Unsman. The county is required to annually adopt and prepare a 6-year transportation program as well as an annual road program pursuant to RCW 3681. Adoption of the proposed 2031 Transportation Improvement Program satisfies the requirements for both the 6-year transportation program as well as the annual road program. The TIP is a planning and programming document that identifies the scope, timing, and funding for county road projects and programs for the next 6 years. Once adopted, the TIP is submitted to the Thurston Regional Planning Council for inclusion into the Regional Transportation Improvement Program Annual Update. As a reminder, a public hearing was heard on October 7th to receive comment regarding the proposed TIP. Any questions?
Questions on the tip? No? Ready?
Okay.
Thank you. As next one's Public Works, resolutions for updates to Thurston County Public Works Utilities noxious weed assessment rates.
Okay, Karen Weiss, Public Works Director. This is a request for the board to approve 4 resolutions, excuse me, which authorize adjustments to rates and charges for our solid waste utilities, stormwater utility, water and sewer utilities, and our noxious weed program. The cost of operating these programs continues to escalate each year, and these rate increases are necessary to cover those costs, including staffing and benefits, contractual services, supplies, repairs, et cetera, and needed infrastructure improvements in the future. A public hearing was held on this on December 1st of this month, and there was only support comments received. And so as a reminder, our solid waste rates will average a 13.5% increase, though adjustments by category will vary. Our stormwater increases will be an 8% on the base rate for both 26 and 27. Our water and sewer utilities adjustments will vary by service areas to move towards a blended rate in 2028. So one service area, in fact, will have a decrease in their rates. And our noxious weeds increases at 25% proposed for 26 only.
Okay, of course, we've gone through all these different things,
Yep.
so that's why it's not a lot of questions today. These are just the formal legislative resolutions that have to be adopted to address all the changes we've been working through this year.
Exactly.
Okay, any questions, Phil? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that takes us back to the indirect cost plan. And we have Melissa Hutchins, who is our presenter on this.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry, I've just been called from another meeting to join this one, so I'm feeling a bit unprepared.
Thank you for joining us, Melissa. We are on the agenda. We're reviewing item number 5, which is the resolution establishing the 2026.
There's 4 actually.
Oh, item 4, excuse me.
Consent, department, yeah.
The resolution adopting the 2025 indirect cost plan. You're listed as the presenter, and if you are able just to give a quick overview of that item, and then we can see if there's any commissioner questions that then, if you don't have the answers, we can always follow up with them in email after.
Okay, let's see, trying to pull it together here. A briefing on the indirect cost plan. So this is put together by our senior management analyst, Ron Haney, every year. And it is based, I know it includes financial services, HR, commissioner's office. I'm probably going to miss a couple there. And it gathers up the previous costs that were incurred from previous years and is then allocated out to non-general fund departments based on various cost factors such as, employees in their department, number of transactions that were processed. I have to apologize, you guys. I don't have this in front of me ready.
So I think you did a pretty good job with the high level overview. So thanks for being available.
Yeah, we do, the commissioners, I'm sure, remember the presentation from Ron that we get, and that had all the details. This is similar to these others. This is a resolution to actually make the changes and put the plan into place, so we'll have a chance to look at that. This is next week's business meeting agenda. Any questions that board members would like Melissa to follow up on? Okay, I think we're good. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
You're welcome. Thank you for your patience and understanding.
You're welcome. All right, so that brings us to item, yes, Commissioner Klaus.
Thank you. I just really quick wanted to go back. There are a couple of the items on the agenda that don't have any attachments in the AIS, so I'm not able to review some of the draft resolutions. There's a handful of them. The larger items about the resolutions adopting the so department items 1 and 2, capital budget and operating budget, those don't have attachments in the AIS. Item number 9, the resolution to rename Fund 0240 to Countywide Services. Oh wait, sorry, not that one. The one right above that, number 8, create Fund 1250 Public Safety Sales Tax. That does not have a draft resolution attached, and I would like to review some of that information. So I know we're still a week out, but if there's a way to get some of those attachments, I would appreciate being able to review them before next week. I mean, I would have liked to review them before today since we're so close to the meeting, but.
Yeah, if I may, legal has received all of the draft resolutions and was in the process of reviewing them. They were a little tied up last week with the litigation deadlines, responding to that. So we've started early this week again, receiving those reviews back. And so.
We can get them out to the board as soon as we get
Yep.
them back.
We can get the whole batch of them out to you.
Our apologies, Commissioner.
No worries. I just wanna make sure that if there's anything in there that I have questions about, that I have time to ask them and get answers before next Tuesday so that we're not rushing right before the meeting.
Understood. What we can do is not only send them out, but if at any time you feel like you'd like to connect with Summer or me to go over them, we can schedule a quick touch base to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to community planning and economic development under subsection 7. Item 1 there are the 2025 comp plan amendments.
Good morning, board. First, I do want to thank you for taking the time last week to go through the remaining decision points. Our team is still working to incorporate all those into the final package, and so we will have some changes to the AIS language to remove any reference to Martin Way, so that won't be in the package, and we'll have all of those documents updated. Happy to answer any questions. I know this is an item that we've gone through quite a few times, 9 work sessions, including the work session last week. But this will be the final vote on the annual package to include the updated comprehensive plan, the associated development code amendments, and the 1 comprehensive plan map amendment and rezone for Black Lake Quarry at Little Rock.
And this action represents all the direction that the board provided over the past few weeks.
Yep. Including the changes that were sent out last Tuesday, reflecting feedback and direction from the board on detached accessory dwelling units. So that language will be the language that's reflected in the final package.
And the battery storage is removed.
Battery storage is removed, and we have sent out communications to interested stakeholders, so that went out last week, so that they would be alerted to what the board's direction is.
Okay, any questions on what item 7.1 is? Reflects. Okay, let's go to item 2. Yeah.
I just, like Michael Cade he didn't get his public comments into us, but being on the EDC board, I just wanted to read into record what his public comments were for that, if that's okay. He sent an email and I just want to get it on record what Michael's comments were.
About what item?
Yeah.
The comp plan?
Yeah, about the comp plan.
Go ahead.
If that's, so it's just, and I've only just kind of glossed over it, but I just wanted to put it out there. Dear Commissioners, on behalf of Thurston County Economic Development Council, I'm pleased to provide comments on several items regarding the above referenced action item currently before the Commissioners. As noted prior, the EDC is committed to and supportive of a strong, vibrant, and inclusive economy. Our strategic work is focused on ensuring that the current economic health of the region is strong, as well as ensuring that the future economic model is one that provides for a strong community for all our residents. I would like to preface our comments with the acknowledgement that our organization has always been supportive of ensuring that the state's Growth Management Act is successfully implemented in our county by concentrating growth in urban areas where services exist, reducing sprawl and preserving natural resource lands, ensuring housing affordability for all income levels, and maintaining predictable, timely, permitting, and regulatory fairness. My comments today are germane to the zoning and activities being addressed considered for rural resource industrial. Working with partner agencies, we've created a matrix of similarly zoned areas in other counties, which is attached to this letter. We thought important that you have a context of this discussion, and it will provide you with a summary of the notion that other comparable counties have significantly larger swatch of economic activities that are allowed within this comparable zone. My concern is that Thurston County is losing our abilities to attract and retain such business activities and investment. As the economy changes and expands, it is our concern that the county, by not expanding uses or even restricting limits to employment activities, loses much more than a job. It loses competitiveness of actions that are appropriate in rural areas. Such zoning should be inclusive of the following economic activities: nurseries, including sales of yard and garden supplies; hardware, hay, grain, and feed stores, not just current allowance of feed stores; wholesale distribution of farm hardware and supply stores, not just current allowances of animal feeds, fertilizers, pesticides, and seed stores; farm equipment and implement dealers; lumber and other building materials, stores and yards, wholesale and retail; commercial nurseries, indoor or outdoor, and related wholesale and retail distribution; bagging and wholesale distribution of bulk rock products; wholesale distribution of live or processed fish; relates to aquaculture allowances being added; add machinery to assembly and fabrication of sheet metal products; add cold storage warehouses and distribution to current warehouse uses; allow for public uses in private utilities. Additional issues that we feel is important to provide comment on are the potential of the imposing of a hard 5% rural growth cap, and the limited housing type flexibility in rural areas. These items are not supported by the GMA and are in contravention to the shared commitment to ensuring that the GMA is successfully implemented in our county. It is a significant reality that if adopted unchanged, these will ensure that working families move out of Thurston County into neighboring counties where housing is allowed to be built at attainable prices, increase the regional vehicle miles traveled and emissions which undermines our climate goals, reduces long-term county revenue capacity, and is in conflict with RCW 36.70A's requirement to plan for diverse housing. The economic impacts would be significant, and the 5% rural growth cap would not be in contravention to the required balancing planning goals. Thank you for your thoughtful consideration. Please do not hesitate to contact me if we can provide anything further on this matter. And just my understanding is that the 5% growth cap is an aspirational thing and not a hard and fast rule. So
That was the direction of the board.
Okay.
This is in relation to the list of uses permitted in the rural resource
And then that's the
industrial
other
zone.
thing, and then when I read the list of uses, I didn't see that things like agricultural uses were excluded. So like these things that I was reading that he's saying we suggest, but my understanding is that most, if not all of those, would be allowable uses.
They would be given the current list of uses allowed in the zone. There's some, more specifics listed there, and so that could be something that we address in the future, when we're updating the zone to just have more detail. But a lot of the general list of uses supporting ag, mining and forestry would include the items that Mr. Cade listed.
Okay, that's what I thought, thank
The
you.
only one that you read that's kind of, that sort of, something about sheet metal.
Add machinery to assembly and fabrication of sheet metal products. I don't know
I don't
specifically
know
what
what
that
that has to
is.
do with agriculture, forestry, but the rest of them sounded like they were connected to
Yeah.
what we were trying to accomplish.
That was the one that stuck out to me too.
Yeah, that one I would have to take a look. That is one of the ones that is not covered clearly under the uses that are already.
So my reading is correct, that most of the things on there, setting that one aside, would be things that would be under that new RI zone.
Yeah, like cold storage would already be included under.
That's what I thought, I
Awesome.
was just not sure.
Thank you.
Commissioner Klaus?
So on this one, this is another item that didn't have attachments. I know we know a lot about it because we've had tons of briefings and staff has done a lot of work on this, but I didn't see any attachments in the AIS to this one. So going off of the recommended action box where we have some info, I see that it says that this ordinance will implement changes in the resolution by amending several chapters and adding new chapters entitled 18 and 20. But is there a red line version of the chapter titles 18 and 20 online that show what the changes would, how they would be reflected in the code?
Yep, and those have been provided to the commissioners in the e-briefs. We always provide a link to the webpage that includes all the current drafts. The only changes that are still being integrated are in response to the direction we received last week.
Could we
Okay.
send a new copy actually, so that it makes it easier for commissioners to put their hands on it immediately?
Yep, we can do that. And then we should have the final package ready for Amy tomorrow or Thursday. It's just a lot of documents to update.
I bet, yeah. Okay, that would be helpful, thank you, because I tried to find the code red line versions on the website, but there's so much information on there, it's hard to find what's the end result, like what is the code gonna say when this is all said and done? And then I had a question about the having two different motions in one item. Is there any chance we could separate those motions, or does it not make sense to separate them for some reason?
You mean with the resolution and the ordinance? Those are tied together, so they are one action. One just
Okay.
relates to the way the maps are adopted versus the comp plan actual text. So
Okay,
they should stay together, I would think, for tracking purposes of the annual comprehensive plan package.
okay. And if there were any items in the comprehensive plan package that maybe have some, I don't know, like if there were any specific items in the package that we wanted to remove, or I think changing them at this time is probably too late, but if there were any items we wanted to remove, how would we go about doing that? Should we talk with staff first, like this week? I think last time we talked about this, I can't remember which item it was, but we talked about maybe having different drafts that might include some components or not include some components, depending on which way the board was leaning.
And the decision, if I recall, was made at that moment, at that time, to create this package. So that deadline for this once a year approval of the comp plan is passed to make any changes. Is
Okay,
that correct, Ashley?
What I recall, Commissioner, was the conversation the board had was about actually coming up with some language, and that they thought the commission's comments were, if that language were to be developed, that seemed to be something everybody could support. And I believe that email went out last week.
Yep, Tuesday at the end of the day.
okay.
The one you're remembering was where we were doing the thing about the land use appeals. And we prepared alternate language so that in case we wanted to remove that.
Okay,
And that's the next item.
But
Okay, that's what I
we
thought maybe.
subsequently, obviously voted on that.
okay. And I think I am maybe thinking also of the next item with the SEPA categorical exemption thresholds. I think that was one item I had concern about, so.
A lot going on.
I know, and it's hard to know which pieces are included in which items because they're all so closely related and we've had briefings on all of them.
Right.
So,
And the language, the terminology
Yeah.
sometimes overlaps a bit.
okay, perfect. Thank you. I think that answers my questions on that one.
Yeah, like land use, we handled the land use, the zoning changes like kind of a separate item, but here they're embedded within this first item, so like, it's good to kind of know that.
Yeah.
Okay, did that answer your questions, Commissioner?
I think so, yeah. And
I'm a
if
little
the
foggy this
attachments will be ready within the next day or two, then that'll probably answer any other questions I have, so.
And I will send out that link to
Perfect.
the specific red line versions.
Thank you so much.
Let's go to item 2 under subsection 7, which is permit review process annual code update.
Yeah, so this is the one where we're going into the hearing. We've developed two different motions in case the board wanted to take action following the hearing. In lieu of that, we had a follow-up work session last week, and the board provided direction to move forward with general clerical edits, changes to reflect the state's new permit review timelines, as well as changes to SEPA categorical exemptions. And then you will be continuing conversations about your role in quasi judicial land use appeals within 120 days of the first of the year, so basically first quarter of next year. And so we have sent out follow-up communications with interested stakeholders, letting them know that. We'll be updating the website and whatnot, but this is the final direction on the remaining items in that package.
Okay. Any questions there?
So this is the one where the SEPA thing comes into play, and I do have concerns about altering the SEPA process to make it more flexible. I understand the intent behind it, but I think with the way that the operations are right now, we receive a lot of SEPA review summaries that have like not applicable listed down the whole thing. And so I'm concerned that if we make it even more flexible, we're gonna have even less environmental protection. So that's a concern that I have. I do understand the need to be more flexible in certain areas because permitting in county takes a long time. An unnecessarily long time in some cases, based on the way the code is, not because of staff or anything, but the SEPA piece, I think, should remain the same. So that was one component I had concerns about, based on the potential environmental impact.
If I recall last week when we had this discussion, it wasn't about making it more flexible. It was like there were some like vestigial tails still left over as new correct me if I'm saying this wrong, like the SEPA guidelines were put out there and then subsequently there's been years and years of additional layers of improved things and improved environmental regulations. And now that's just a checkbox while we do all these other things. Is that kind of the knuckle dragging way to explain it?
So I think that the way the state viewed expanding the list of categorical exemptions was that you have just these more standard uses where they understand, because we've had them on the landscape for decades, what those environmental impacts would be, and that we have lots of other environmental protections in place that are not going away. That SEPA is more of a process. And all the environmental protections that are in our critical areas ordinance, that are in our shoreline management plan, all of those still apply. And so I think that's why the state opted to expand that list of exemptions, especially to facilitate more housing being developed. So it's more of a process piece rather than stripping away environmental protections from some of these more standard uses.
So this process update aligns with what the state's done to reduce confusion?
Yes,
Well, they gave the allowance.
they gave the allowance.
But can you remind me, did the Planning Commission support this piece of the SEPA exemptions?
Yes, they supported expanding exemptions within the UGA, which aligns with the comp plan goal of trying to reduce rural growth to 5%. It's basically facilitating development in the area where it should be accommodated. And so expanding exemptions in UGA keeping SEPA review for proposals in rural county.
Is that what this does?
That's what it does. It's what the planning commission recommended.
Unanimously?
It was, I don't wanna misspeak. I'm
I
pretty
thought
sure
it
it's
was.
unanimous on this, and it was not unanimous on the appeal part.
Right.
It was a complex motion.
And the board made the decision to move forward with this like Thursday or Friday.
Last Tuesday was the
Last
last
Tuesday.
time that this was discussed.
But it only applies in the UGA.
Well, there are some changes to rural areas, like we actually clarified the application of it to commercial buildings. And there was an increase from 4 lots to 6 lots for rural subdivisions. So small change, but didn't go nearly as far as what the state allows.
Okay.
Would it be helpful for the board to send out a summary of the conversation that we'd had previously and the direction the board provided?
That would be helpful for me. I also was thinking because the red line version is 95 pages. There's a lot in here about SEPA and it's hard for me to cause what I didn't know the things that you just described about it only being in the UGA based on the 95-page document. So I'm sure it's in there, but
It was discussed in the
Yeah.
presentation.
okay, and I wasn't here
Yeah,
for that. I was
Yep.
flying, unfortunately. But I can watch that and then if there's a summary that could come forward, that would be great too. And then I'm trying to find, which I'm not gonna find right now, but the exact language that shows what the implications would be based on the red line version. So if there's, my primary concern is the SEPA piece. I know there's a lot in here. I'm just curious to know exactly what those implications are because at first it sounded like it's only the UGA and then I heard that there's a couple maybe minor changes to rural developments, but having that clearly laid out would be really helpful for me. And if you did that last week, maybe I can just watch the video, but if that wasn't part of the conversation, then
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sorry.
I have no problem
Yeah.
sending out. What I can do is clip the language from that 95 pages, so you know exactly where to look.
okay.
And I don't wanna misrepresent what's being proposed. It's expanding exemptions in the UGA with some clarifications and expansion in rural.
Okay.
And I did get a confirmation of exactly what the vote was. It was 8-1, 1 abstain on the 6 units change for rural. So.
We could also catch you up and meet with you, if that would be helpful.
I think that'd be helpful, but I'm reaching out to my EA every time. I'm like, okay, we need to set up a meeting for this, and so I'm like, there's a lot of meetings that I'm having to set up if I wanna get all my questions answered between now and next week, so I think a meeting would be good, but I just don't know.
Maybe we'll start with the overview, and
Okay.
if there's questions from the overview, we can.
Yeah, and you mentioned, get caught up on, you can watch the recording, we'll send the overview, and then just let us know. If there's other
Okay.
questions, we're happy to connect.
Okay, thank you.
And I don't know how good you are at finding old notes, but we did have a briefing before that where
Okay.
I don't know if I'd be able to find them at this point, but
Steph will
Yeah.
have it,
there was a briefing where we went through those. And I remember, talking
Yeah,
about
it
the
was a
SEPA
table.
exemption with a table, so you may have it lurking around your office.
And we'll
Okay.
reference that in the overview.
Yep.
Perfect, yeah, if I have the date of that discussion, I'll be able to find my notes pretty quickly. Thank you.
Yeah, this is, like we said back in spring, it all kind of comes to a head. All the work that's done over the year comes to a head right now in the end of December. So it's a lot to track, but we appreciate the board staying
Especially
on
if
board.
we keep kicking decisions forward, which if we make these decisions throughout the year, it's a little easier.
Okay, so now we're going forward to Skookumchuck Water Rights Acquisition Grant.
Yeah, and I'm gonna spend just a little bit more time on this one, cause this is one that hasn't really touched the board since like 2 years ago. But I dug to find it, so this project began just over 2 years ago with a board work session. It was September 7th of 2023. At that time, we were seeking board direction to pursue grants for a water rights acquisition from the TransAlta Water Bank, which I know you just received an update about TransAlta. What our request was in CPED was to pursue acquisition of water rights for stream flow restoration. to support salmon recovery. So in October 2024, we were very excited to find out that we were successful in securing a grant for over $2.4 million from the Department of Ecology. And that is to purchase up to 840 acre-feet of water from the TransAlta Water Bank. This water would be permanently dedicated to in-stream flow in the Skookumchuck and Chehalis rivers. This is a huge success for our conservation efforts. So I do just want to take a moment to highlight what these are, and I can weave them into the comments at the meeting next week. But it meets all of our stream flow restoration act requirements for the whole basin, not just for Thurston County. So fully offsetting the 500 acre-feet per year impact of new permit exempt wells. It ensures the continued issuance of residential building permits, not just for our county, but for Lewis and Grays Harbor through the year 2040. And then this is where the innovation starts. It also provides an additional almost 300 acre-feet per year for salmon recovery, water quality improvement, and climate resilience. Big shout out to my team, Brian, Benjamin, and Phil, because what they put together was a package that is the state's first climate resilient water rights acquisition. So in addition to just buying the water to offset our permit exempt wells in that basin, using modeling, we went beyond that and got support to purchase water for our climate resiliency. This does represent the most cost-effective long-term solution for stream flow restoration there, which is just another exciting point. So the action that's being requested of the board next week is just approval of the grant documents. We are currently working on the purchase and sale agreement with TransAlta, and we hope that that'll be ready for board review first quarter of next year. But this is 2 years worth of work culminating in the signing of some documents.
I just want to say, great job. I mean, this is, I don't remember if 2 years ago, if board members remember, Commissioner Grant, you weren't here at this time, but we had this full presentation about TransAlta making these water rights available, but we just didn't have the funding for it. And we have to have this for our permit, and to run our water, not water, but is it like?
Our permit exempt wells.
Yeah, for the mitigation of that, and we had to have this, and we've been looking for this funding, so when this opportunity opened up, TransAlta, came in to our staff and offered this up, and we just were like, we don't know where we're gonna find the funding for this, and I just very choppily gave you the history of it, but I just wanted to, just make you aware just how exciting this really is, and one question I have, right? I know they had, I remember staff came and they presented us like, this is the minimum that we will have to, right? And then this is like the medium and this is the full picture. I will have to go back and look at that kind of little graph, and I'm wondering, do you have that at the top of your head, or is that something that I will need to go look up?
Yeah, so in terms of meeting our streamflow restoration act requirements, we exceeded our expectations. We basically got a 50% increase over what is even needed for offsetting through 2040. In terms of purchasing water rights not related to streamflow restoration, we are still seeking alternative funding. One of the proposals is, some minor changes to conservation futures language to allow acquisition of water rights in addition to being able to purchase rights and property. So that's one small change, and we have gotten support from the conservation district for that, but still looking, but we haven't given up.
This is huge and it's awesome, and I'm really, really happy to hear about this. What I would like to suggest or nudge is that when we have these huge type of things, if we just talk about it right here and then the media's watching, they report out with just a little blurb that barely tells our story. And that's what happened with the Rochester Main Street project. We didn't put out a press release, and then all that it was like 4 sentences that don't really tell the full story or the breadth or the significance. So like, I fully expect that now that we've talked about this, the Jolt or whoever is gonna have a news report out by the end of the day that is not us telling the story, that it's them just, taking notes off this meeting. So like, I would love that if we could ensure that we have like the full, this is a big story, this is huge, huge. And if we could make sure that we have a press release put out in conjunction with this public announcement to make sure that we tell the story and not somebody else telling us for us.
Yeah, and the challenge, Commissioner, we have is that this is up for your.
Yeah, it's not
This is up
approved.
for review, it's not even, you're not even taking action on it
Yeah.
today. So, but we can work to.
Yeah, no, I understand the process part of it, but like, how do we make sure that we're not, because you only get like one shot
Yeah,
at
they're stealing our thunder a little
whatever,
bit,
yeah, and we wanna celebrate these things properly, and like, the public, for them to totally understand how important this is, really, I think we have to lay it out there for them.
And that's the unique thing about government. We start with the concept 2 years ago, before I was even here. And staff start working on it. They work hard and they move things forward, and we bring it forward for your approval. It's kind of like the Summit Lake item, Commissioner Menzer. By that point, it's almost like there's no luster to it.
It's a whimper.
Yeah, because everything's been done, but
Yeah.
I do,
How do we do that?
Yeah, I'm excited to see that with our new communications manager, she's making some inroads and telling some really great stories and connecting with the different department communicators. I know CPED has some real good ones in your department, so we'll work together to get the word out on this.
Yeah, and Thurston County has no match on this. This is all being paid for through the grant, so.
It's outstanding.
And the Chehalis Basin Partnership, which of course the staff from the Chehalis Tribe participate on, have been fully supportive, even as we've had to advocate to Ecology to expand our ability to purchase water rights from the bank.
Congratulations. Great job to your staff.
Yeah.
This is a very sizable grant, and water right acquisition grants are very common, and they're not very, they don't go for these amounts, so great job to your team on this.
This is not a stream flow restoration grant, it's some other kind of grant.
It is, stream flow restoration grants come from the Department of Ecology.
I understand, but it's from that program for those, okay, and then you said there's a certain amount of, you said we got 50% more than what we need for the permit exempt wells, and then what happens with that?
Well, so the 500 acre feet per year is the minimum for the basin. What we were able to get Chehalis Basin Partnership support for was to go beyond that for climate resiliency. Like, why would you not buy more if you have the capability now?
And
Because
do
this
what
water.
with it?
You never get a chance
So
like
there's
this.
300,
In stream flow, so it is,
so we
it will,
retire those water rights?
they will stay in stream, and now we're working on modeling to identify point in time when that water will be in stream. So when you buy water rights, you can also buy water rights at a particular time of year to benefit salmon the most.
Okay, so there's 500 acre feet that we're using for offset to permit exempt wells.
And the additional is just.
The additional is
stream flow.
another 300 something, you said? You said
Up to
800.
840 acre feet is what we're approved for.
But it's not clear what we're gonna use the 340 additional feet for, because it's being figured out.
Oh, no, it'll be in stream, so it'll be dedicated to in
But-
stream.
But it may be different times, or you're saying you're trying to figure out where it can be allocated by time, or?
You can allocate it by time, so we're trying to optimize our purchase for salmon recovery. So our team, this county has an amazing stream flow restoration team, is not just buying the water and saying we're done. They're trying to model it, working with tribal staff to figure out how to optimize that water acquisition for salmon recovery.
And then how does this fit with like what, I know we're like way behind schedule here this morning. This is a huge item and I have a lot of questions, but how does this fit with like what the City of Centralia and Chehalis were like really interested in these water rights for their municipal needs. Like, is this just, there's enough for everyone kind of thing, or did we beat them out in a grant application, or how does this?
No, their acquisition interest is separate from this, and there's enough in the water bank to support both.
So this action is to accept the grant from Ecology. It sounds like it would be helpful to have maybe some of the SMEs come in and have a conversation about it with the board, but it'd be great
Yeah,
to be
cause I
able to
mean,
accept the grant.
like the last presentation we had after the 2 years ago, we we're talking about, we've had Nate Kale come in and talk about the analysis of removing the dam. I mean, we've had lots of different points of like not knowing where this was all headed. So kind of putting the piece all back together would be really useful.
Happy to do that.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay,
Excited about this
next one.
coroner is next. Item 8, sub 1, professional services contract for pathology position, Pacific Northwest Forensic Pathology PLLC.
This is another big one.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Gary Warnock, Thurston County Coroner, and my Chief Deputy Tracy McCullough. We are here today to seek approval from the board for a forensic pathologist contract in the amount of $420,000. It's a 2-year contract. And just for comparison, year over year, I have to come to the board to get a budget amendment just because of the cost of the autopsies. In 2024, my autopsy budget was $380,000, and we spent $571,000. In 2025, the autopsy budget was $358,000, and we ended up spending $618,000 that year. And projected for this year, operating budget for autopsies is $358,000. And we're on track to spend $622,000. So this contract creates a savings of roughly $200,000 a year. Any questions? Yes.
Thank you. Not a question, but this is like so exciting, right? Like back 5 years ago, we created the pathologist position because we were trying to get someone in-house, because I think we were seeing at that time, after COVID, the rates increased and the pathologist positions in Washington State became very minimal. And the increase, I remember that year was quite a lot.
It was a big jump.
It was a big jump, and so just congratulations on like just pinning this down, because then it provides some stability in an unstable market of pathology. And the fact that we have a contract and we're gonna have those rates secured, it really does provide some stability on those autopsies. And yeah, this is a big one.
Yeah, just for information, so Commissioner, you were correct. So after COVID, the number of pathologists decreased, but their prices increased just because of the market of forensic pathologists. There's so few of them out there that they have a structured fee rate per case. And those rates went up significantly. So yeah, we're happy with this. Leonard, we've started this process about 1.5 years ago, just after you came on board. And Commissioner Mejia, thank you for your support, and let me bend your ear on this. And so I'm glad we're finally here.
Yeah, and I wanted to give a special thanks to the coroner's team. They've really helped with education about why this is important, how we can get to yes. Thanks to the PAO's team, especially Seth Dickey, who's in the audience. He came with some creative ideas about how we can move around some of the red tape, because we haven't really done this before as a county. and then Maria Ponte's team as well, who worked to help shepherd this along. But yeah, some things in government take a minute to get done, but when you understand the savings, over 200,000 annually, there should have been some fireworks or like a neon sign that flashed, because you don't really hear that very much from board items. How many offices or departments come and say, we have an idea to save you hundreds of thousands of dollars? And so appreciate the leadership of our coroner making that happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's it?
That's it.
Thank you very much.
All right, keep trying to finish this up. IT, we'll take a break after we finish this agenda, but it's gonna be a few more items here. IT Professional Services Agreement for Oracle Stabilization.
Hi, Sherry Ilg, IT Director. I am seeking authorization to waive competitive bidding and enter into another contract with Baker Tilly in the amount not to exceed $1.4 million over 2 years. When Thurston County went live with Oracle Cloud, also known as TC Connect, we have had a rough couple of years. And when we entered into the contract with Baker Tilly in July, we found that we've had great success with them and would like to continue to work with them for Oracle stabilization and optimization.
So I'm gonna look at the county manager. This, the board during our budget negotiations, we kind of pulled back some of the allocated funding in order to help the court system.
Right,
And does this reflect those changes that were voted on by the board?
absolutely.
Okay, just want to confirm that, because I don't remember the numbers exactly.
Right.
Any other questions for Sherry?
I will just say that this is again another big one that is gonna, I don't know why they're all happening at the end of the year. But the team has been working hard, special thanks to the TC Connect Steering Committee, which has really taken this on to help manage and work this through. Our financial accounting system is a good system.
It is.
And it was time for us to upgrade. When you decide to do all the modules that touch not just the finances, but everything all at once, there's gonna be growing pains, and we've been experiencing those. This is a positive step forward in getting the resources that are needed. We're already seeing progress. And so there's been a lot of work that has been done. This is one of those things, I'll say, commissioners, it's not really seen, and we don't talk about it all the time, but it affects everything we do in this county. And there's so many people that touch this. Has it been perfect? No. There's, with any implementations, it's gonna take a couple years to do. And so we are excited that the board is considering making this investment, and I'm thankful for staff for their time and effort in moving this forward.
You're scaring me with that 9-year Snohomish County implementation.
It's not unusual.
Cannot let that happen.
No, we cannot.
All right, if there are no other questions on this item, we'll go to the next IT item, which is single source contract with Eagle View for GIS support.
So if you recall, some of you, back in 2020, we implemented a solution called Eagle View, which we use for oblique imagery and all the imagery that supports GIS of all property in Thurston County. It's time to renew that contract, and so I am seeking authorization to enter into a new contract with Eagle View over 6 years for a total of $832,089. It's about $140,000 a year. We collect every year in our rates for this solution, and so it won't have any further impact on our budget.
We've budgeted for this.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a quick question. Why are both of these items not under consent?
Go ahead, Clerk.
Hi, Commissioner Grant. These are not under consent because they are over 500,000. That's our general dollar threshold that we use to put items on department items.
Oh, got it. Thanks.
Good question, Commissioner Grant. We had a similar question earlier this morning.
Okay, well, I still have the battle scars from the, I'm
Yes.
looking back at the assessor.
Who's
The-
smiling?
Yeah, who was smiling, which I'd like to see because it was very difficult to get this kind of over the finish line back in 2020, but I understand it's been working as a good tool, so glad to see that. All right, Public Works is next. We have project prospectus and local agency agreement for project CPC 61564.
Good morning again, Matt Huntsman, Thurston County Engineer. Public Works is requesting permission from the Board of County Commissioners to authorize the Director of Public Works to execute a project prospectus and a local agency agreement with the Washington State Department of Transportation. Thurston County has been awarded $600,000 in federal funding from the Surface Transportation Block Grant to complete the design and right-of-way phases of the first phase of the 196th Avenue Sargent Road to Elderberry project. This project, as well as a lot of other public works projects, are to support the Grand Mound area. That part of the county is growing very rapidly, and we've been putting a lot of resources in to try to keep up with development so development can continue. This first phase of the project includes the installation of a roundabout at 196th Avenue and Elderberry Street, as well as road improvements between US 12 and 196th Avenue. The first phase for design will authorize the obligation of $432,000 of federal funds. 13.5% match is required, as a local match that is, and that will be paid utilizing transportation impact fees that have been collected for the area.
Any questions for Matt? All right, so we're getting money in, but it's over 500,000, so it's a department item. That's what I'm understanding. Great. Very good. Then we'll have public comment, commissioner community reports. We'll have 3 public hearings. The first one is non-exclusive franchise application of Pioneer Service Company for water distribution system.
I'll stay here.
Yeah. Jumping right to you.
And then just a quick note to start, commissioners, this was highlighted in an email yesterday. The term in the second motion in the agreement indicates 10 years right now, and it will be updated to 5 years prior to next week.
Okay, thank you.
So this public hearing is to receive public comment regarding a franchise agreement submitted by the Pioneer Service Company. RCW 3655040 requires that a public hearing be held for all franchise applications. Pioneer Service Company has applied for an agreement to operate and maintain a water distribution with approximately 50 connections within the county right-of-ways known as Madrona Beach Road and Shaker Church Road. To be clear, their agreement has expired and this is just renewing the agreement that they already have. Public Works is requesting the Board of County Commissioners approve the resolution granting the Pioneer Service Company a franchise agreement for a term of 5 years.
Is that the typical amount of time?
Typically, we do 10, but we're in the process of updating some of our contracts. And so we wanna shorten that time period so that next time they renew, we'll have the updated contract language included.
5 or 10 years?
It's gonna be 5. It says 10, but it'll be 5. Okay. Which is not typical, so thank you for that explanation. Any questions? Okay, and then we got Gorgas Open Space Tax Program application. We had a briefing on this at some point, or an email or something.
Yeah, no, debrief and then covered this when we set the public hearing. So this is the public hearing for an open space application. This is a conservation tool that the county has in its toolbox to try to encourage people to keep their lands rural and ag and forestry use. And so
This goes through planning commission, right?
goes through planning commission. Yep, they have to be processed just like a comprehensive plan amendment, but they can be decided on throughout the year.
Any questions on this? We'll get public comment on that, and then City of Yelm, annexation interlocal agreement.
Yeah, so this is the culmination of the annexation process. The city of Yelm is pursuing it and doing most of the work, but we do hold a public hearing. They've been doing outreach as part of their comprehensive plan process to affected areas. But this annexation, we might receive some folks providing comment, because it does encompass a total of 312 parcels and approximately 1,200 acres.
And there was one follow-up that we are still working through on behalf of Commissioner Grant, who wanted just to understand what the impact of sales tax would be in the annexation. We haven't forgot that question, Commissioner Grant. We should have that information for you before we review this again as an agenda item.
Any other questions on this public hearing?
And the final decision will be made by the Boundary Review Board in 2026.
So what's the difference between this process and the discussion with Lacey? The UGA and annexation?
This is just further along, so the city of Yelm defined what they want to annex and came to the county.
Lacey's still trying to figure out what they wanna annex.
And they want some type of analysis that lays out why and what and where.
Yep, and they're trying to tie theirs to the sales tax benefit that the state is offering, and so there's a financial component that Lacey's using. My understanding from Yelm is that the genesis is more to do with complying with the housing requirements set by the state, that is really the impetus of trying to bring this land into the city and have urban zoning in line.
Thank you.
We are committed to meeting with the City of Lacey staff in mid-January to kick off a process of what that's gonna look like. But to Commissioner Menser's point, there are some decisions they'll have to make about the scope of their annexation.
Okay, so it's 10:55, we're gonna take 10 minutes recess, we'll be back at 11:05 to pick up with the executive session related to the auditor item, which is consent number 1. And then we'll move on to item 2 in the.
Chair,
Yep,
the auditor has asked to pull that item at this point and bring it back in the first meeting in January. They are working with the PAO's office and their attorney is, I think, currently out right now. So they just need to make sure that they have everything lined up so that we can have that executive session, which they're wanting to do, but they just need a little bit more time to do
so we
that.
won't be taking action next week on consent item 1.
Yeah,
at all.
our plan is to move that to the January meeting.
Okay, well then, we'll, at 11:05, we'll come back and pick up with advisory boards.
Recording in progress.
Mute me. Okay, it's 11:08. We're back from a quick recess and we're picking up with the agenda setting, item number 2. Agenda setting agenda, item 2, advisory boards, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. This morning we have just a few updates for you. Regarding the Housing Authority of Thurston County Board, we've received 2 additional applications in the last couple of weeks. And prior, the board had provided direction to send the previous 2 applications for Irwin Vidalian and Paul Knox to the Housing Authority. And so we will provide these 2 applications as well. I want to make you aware that they were also received. So the next item is the Pack Mountain Board of Directors. We've received 2 nominations for this item. One is for Dennis Neal to serve as a regional representative, and he was nominated by Commissioner Grant to the Pack Mountain Board, along with David Shafford for reappointment as a county representative. He was nominated by Commissioner Grant.
Commissioner Mejia.
Thank you. I have a couple questions and maybe Commissioner Grant can, help. So is this nomination from an opening from a past member?
Yes.
And what recruitment was done for that position?
I'm not sure if there was a recruitment done. I received a message from William Westmoreland that said that both of the positions, the community position and the regional representative position were open. There was someone else in that position and I can't remember her name, but she stepped down. And that he said that I can nominate someone. And then I did discuss with there's a couple other people in the running, and I had discussions with them, and then I ended up nominating Dennis Neal. I didn't know that there needed to be an open recruitment.
So I guess just for context, because I used to serve on this board, right? And for this one's the openings for seats are like Thurston County specifically, like in other ones, there's like rotation and like for the other counties, but for us, we've had a lot of longstanding members in that one. And I know when I was on the board, that seat specifically was about to become open and there was about a recruitment to take place, but then the person decided to stay on. And so is there a timeline for this? I'm nothing against you know.
It was a few months ago. The timeline for him to try to I think this is just kind of me following the William Westmoreland thing, and then David Schaefer. I got with him and then we did a reappointment for him. And so it was actually I think like Dennis is already attending things, but if you want to put a recruitment out, we can.
Who was it, Commissioner Mejia?
I don't remember her name.
Her name was Amy. It was she was from, I think it was Amy. I'm sorry if I'm butchering this public, but from Master Builders.
Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Fournier.
My question is this a board, is this the county appointment or is this a Commissioner Grant appointment? Because typically these appointments, they come before the board and then we as a board make the appointment, but in the documents it said from the office of Rachel Grant making an appointment. So I wondered, is this different or is this just like every other board? Like the library board, I wouldn't say from the office of Wayne, I'm appointing library board member.
I believe it's similar sort of to planning commission where a commissioner makes a nomination to the full board. The commissioner.
Yeah, and I think I nominated. Yeah, it was a nomination.
Yeah.
And that's because I'm sorry, I don't even know the structure of this board. Is that because you're the representative on that board or because this is supposed to be someone from your district? Or what is the connection between you making the nomination and?
Commissioner Grant is the primary Pack Mountain representative for the board.
And is that something, I mean, I'm just asking, cause I mean.
Yeah, I don't know either, so I
Yeah,
couldn't
I
follow
mean, a
the
commissioner
process.
wouldn't have the unilateral authority to appoint on behalf of Thurston County, and we would, but if this is different, I would.
Yeah,
I'd
they're
be
all
curious
different. I just
why.
never seen one like that.
If the letter says appointment, I believe it should say nomination.
It does say nomination.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's Commissioner Grant's nomination to the full board for the full board's consideration.
Yeah, the clerk and I have talked about this, and a side idea with the boards and commissions, we are probably going to recommend like an appendices to the bylaws that has a quick overview of all the boards and commissions, how they're appointed. Because this is one where they don't come up very often. And so when this came forward, I don't even think the clerk was aware that we've done recruitments in the past. I think that us kind of deciding this here and now is a good thing, and if we wanna go back and do a recruitment, we can.
There's a broken trail of county managers who try to do what you're proposing, County Manager Hernandez. And
Challenge
they've never
accepted.
they've never succeeded.
I'd heard that,
Challenge
and I don't know
accepted.
I don't know all the details, but I'd heard that Pac Mountain had recently lost a significant amount of funding or ended a relationship with a funding partner, and I don't know the details of that, but.
I've not heard any of that information.
Mm-mm.
Commissioner?
No, I mean, there has been something called WIOA or some federal dollars that normally get passed down and there was a cut there, but I'm not aware of any other main cuts. And I love that idea, Leonard, of, creating an appendices, because I think that it's just a matter of, I don't know, I was just doing what I was told. I mean, I just got a message that, that said, hey, you should, from William, that, hey, we need a nomination. David really is interested in doing it again. And I went about, the process, and that was months ago. And so I had no idea.
Yeah.
And that,
Quick question. So I was gonna ask you, I think you answered it right there. I was gonna ask you if these nominees were people you sought out, or were they like chomping at the bit to do it? You said David was interested. What about Dennis? Was he somebody you asked to be part of it?
Dennis was somebody that I asked. I went and had a couple discussions. I was trying to find somebody to represent the health field or the social health, anybody out there working, to represent the workforce for behavioral health or for health. And so that's how we ended up with Dennis.
If that's the goal, I think that's a good choice, because he's been an employer in that field for as long as I can remember.
Right.
Been in this world at all, so he should
Yeah.
have really good insight and perspective on those issues.
Yeah. And I just kind of assumed, when we went about nominating people for the planning commission, right, that I'm just supposed to nominate somebody, and then it comes here, and then you guys see if that's okay, and then it moves on. So it would be, I think it's a really great idea if we get a list of all these commissions and things, and just make that really easy, because it would be it just would be a lot easier and a lot less hard on the people who are applying if we knew the right processes to follow.
Yeah, and so previously, and this, again, these are because it's 3 consecutive terms, right? So I believe since I've been on the board, there hasn't been, right, or when I was on there, and I think Commissioner Edwards, just because they're so long standing. And that's why, when an opportunity opens up, and this is coming from when I got told there was a potential for it, I asked the other jurisdictions, what is it that you guys do? And they do a recruitment. So that's kind of why I was just what process was followed in this instance, since for us, it's been a long time since we've had an opening in the Pac Mountain Board for Thurston County specifically.
Yeah, and I agree with Commissioner Grant that this was a little bit vague, so she was kind of following what we thought was,
Right. I would also like to do that then for David's position. So,
okay.
Because I had my concerns there too, because I feel, I didn't know, he just wanted to be reappointed, and I wasn't sure if that's just something that we do, is just reappoint people, or, because I kind of wanted to open that one up as well. So if we can do a recruitment for both, I think that
Is
would
that
be
what you
something we
guys
should
are,
do.
is that what you're suggesting, Commissioner Mejia? I couldn't quite understand.
No, I just wanted to like be sure that the process was laid out clearly, like on what process Commissioner Grant followed, right, for Mr. Neal.
Now that you know, are you?
Yeah,
you
no,
know-
I'm comfortable with it, right? Because there is, I know health is definitely an area that was lacking on the Pac Mountain Board. And I know that there was, you know, when the opportunity opened up, I had reached out to both Multicare and Providence and, you know, they had said there was interest in them joining in that board,
I
but
reached out to them too, and I will tell you that I did reach out too, and I didn't get anyone who was interested. It took me a while to come up with anyone that would be interested. So, yeah, I mean, I will let you know that I did send emails out to a couple other places too.
But
Are you saying?
it is hard to come up with people that are interested if we didn't do a recruitment too, though, you know, just
Right.
not.
But if, back to David Schaffer, is he already, you said that's a reappointment, so he's already
been on it
serving?
for a long time, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know if he's been in there 3 terms already, or, you know, that part I haven't.
No, he is
didn't-
eligible for reappointment.
Okay.
I mean, I could see the value of having somebody that, you know, I don't know what the, exactly all the issues, I've never been on the board, so I'm just kind of thinking high level, but like somebody like David who's not just one perspective from a certain business or sector, but has that connection to a multitude of, you know, with his role in the chamber, he should really have his fingers on kind of a broad range of issues across different sectors. I can see the value of that. Probably why he's had the role for a couple of terms, but maybe, you know, it certainly never hurts to see.
So just I know the conversation has progressed. What's the board's direction on this? To leave the nomination as is or to go out for recruitment?
I would defer to Rachel.
I mean, if you're asking me, I would I would like to keep the nomination as is. I mean, I think that like I said, I did you know, kind of reach out. I had long conversations with William, also with David about, you know, what business sector should we be thinking about for this position. And that's where how we ended up coming up with like the idea of somebody in the health, in the mental health and behavioral health, or even health. I mean, it could have been anyone. But you know, I will say for Dennis Neal that most of you probably know who that is. He's retiring. He is officially retired from his business. He will no longer be with Northwest Resources as of December 31st. And is looking for places in the community to serve. And so this was a good, as a employer for over, you know, 30 years in that area. I think that he'll be a really good advocate for, you know, what are the different things we need in that area of our workforce. So I would like to keep it and make the appointment if possible.
Based on everything that I'm hearing, I'm in support of Commissioner Grant and keep the appointments.
I'm in support too. I think just for the future, since this is not just, you know, it's a county representative, that, you know, this be opened up as a recruitment in the future if it becomes available.
Yeah, we'll make
You
that-
got it.
We'll make that a standard and now that I know what I'm up against with the appendices idea, we'll see how.
No, you guys
Hear
have
that,
heard me
you
say it a
think?
million times. I need an operation guide. Like, I don't know, you know, I didn't know. So
I was
it'd
like,
be
why
nice.
can't we have this? It would be so easy. Like, what's the big deal? And it's just a couple different times we failed to pull it all
Yeah.
together in a way that was really like useful to the board.
But it sounds like, yeah, Commissioner Grant did her due diligence and reaching out to specific sectors, so I'm okay with moving forward. I just wanted to know like the process that was followed and think for the future is.
Yep.
Yeah, good.
Okay, let's go on to the planning commission.
Thank you. Similar to the planning commission, we have a nomination from Commissioner Menzer for Ms. Flores to be appointed to an upcoming vacancy.
Yeah, Joel Hansen is, you know, obviously he got elected to the Port Commission and he is resigning his spot. I've done some interviews of applicants, and I've chosen Laura Flores. Her background would look a little bit similar to maybe Derek Day. She's in water resources and ecology, so I think that brings a good perspective, and brings some needed gender balance to our board, and she's my at-large appointment. She actually resides in Commissioner Mejia's district. But I was impressed by her, and I would like to get her seated before the January meeting.
Can we add this to next?
That's what I'm hoping. You've got her
Next week.
application.
I liked it.
I'm okay with it. I reviewed her application and I think it's good.
And then I will say that I do have an opening as well. And at this point, like I always do, I will be doing an open recruitment, and so my seat will be vacant possibly until January.
So it looks like we had some verbals. Can we get thumbs up to have that added? Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, added to consent calendar.
All right, then let's go on to, that's it for advisory boards, right?
That's it for.
Okay, let's go to item 3, 2026 property tax levy certification.
Good morning again. Whoops. Just a moment while we get the presentation up, please. Okay, so I'm Summer Miller, Budget and Fiscal Manager in the Commissioner's Office. This is going to be a presentation about the 2026 levy certification. RCW 845270 requires that the legislative authority in each county to certify the amount of the property tax levy to the county assessor no later than December 15th each year. In accordance with RCW 8455-120, a public hearing was held on December 1st, 2025 regarding revenue to support the proposed 2026 operating budget, including a proposed property tax increase. Road levy shift, RCW 8452-43-1 allows the county legislative authority to shift a portion of the property tax levy for roads to the general fund. The Board of County Commissioners may make a determination in each year of the amount of the shift, providing the levy rate for the general fund does not exceed $2.45 per thousand. The combined general fund and road levy rate does not exceed $4.05, and no other taxing jurisdictions are impacted by the shift. It is recommended that the board authorize a road levy shift in the amount of $4,700,000. By enacting a road levy shift, the board maintains the general fund balance as anticipated in the budget. Road diversion, RCW 3633-220 and 3682-40 allows the county legislative authority to divert property tax revenue from the road fund to the general fund and use the revenue for any legitimate county purpose. Chapter 136-150 of the WAC, established by the County Road Administration Board, sets the criteria for diverting funds and still maintaining standards of good practice. It is recommended that the board authorize a road diversion of $1.5 million from the road fund to the general fund. Eligible traffic safety costs in the sheriff's office are anticipated to exceed this amount, ensuring the county's ongoing eligibility for certification of good practice by CRAB and receipt of state road funding. Overview. So Washington State Constitution limits the annual property taxes imposed on individual property parcels up to 1% of its true and fair value or assessed valuation. Counties are limited to $1.80 of $1,000 of assessed valuation of regular general fund current expense collection, may be increased to $2.47 with limitations. Property tax are levied to deliver services authorized and desired by taxpayers. An overview for the 2026 property tax certification. Thurston County is $49,300,000. Road diversion would be $1.5 million. Road levy shift 2. The Thurston County levy would be $4.7 million. Our rate of collection is approximately 74 cents per thousand before the shift. Again, max rate of collection is $1.80 per thousand. Conservation features, we're asking that you certify
the levy in the amount of 1.75 million. The rate of collection is estimated at just over 2.5 cents per thousand. Max rate of collection is 6.25 cents per thousand. Medic one with lid lift, we're anticipating 23.5 million. Rate of collection is just over 34 cents per thousand. A max rate of collection is 50 cents per thousand. And roads, we're asking you to certify at 27 million. Road levy shift from at 4.7 million and road diversion at 1.5 million. Max rate of collection is just under 86 cents per thousand before the shift. Max rate is $2.25 per thousand. So your timelines, in August, the preliminary assessed values are distributed by the county assessor's office, and that's ongoing until certification. Preliminary levy amounts are calculated, also that is ongoing until certification. In September, taxing districts receive notice of deadline to certify their budgets and estimates to the Board of County Commissioners by November 30th. Preliminary county assessed valuation and levy amounts are modified with each update to the valuations. In October, the prior period, October 1st to September 30th, net refund levy amounts are distributed by the county treasurer to be applied to the levy calculations. In November, certified values are distributed by the county assessor's office. Those figures are subject to change. And in December, the Board of County Commissioners must certify to the assessor the total amount of property taxes to be levied on or before the 15th day of December. So actions, Thurston County Board of County Commissioners has properly noticed the public hearings which were held on Monday, December the 1st, 2025 to consider revenue sources and increases to property tax revenues for our fiscal year 2026. Our next steps are to increase property tax levy from the previous year in addition to increases from new construction and property improvements and increases to the state assessed valuation. And that is the end of the presentation. I would like to say, before I take any questions, that I greatly, deeply appreciate JJ in the assessor's office. He is very helpful. We have reviewed many times the levy calculation worksheets, and he's a wonderful person to work with. So I really appreciate him, and I appreciate the assessor's team.
Commissioner Grant?
Yeah, can I get a copy of the levy assessment works? I mean, I'm learning how all of this works, so I just wanted to get a copy of those so that I can see the actual numbers. Or like how they're I mean, I know you have them, the basic numbers that were calculated here, but just was hoping to get copies of the actual backup.
Do you want a copy of the levy worksheets?
Yeah, that'll work.
Yep, I can send that out to the board today.
And
Okay, thank you.
the clerk will also email out the PowerPoint right now.
Commissioner Klaus, did you have something?
Well, I was just trying to follow along, but I didn't have a copy of the slides, so the whole presentation was like kind of fast for me. But we do have an attachment in the packet, so I was able to kind of like try to follow along, but it was just kind of very quick. And I'm kind of a visual person, so I didn't have this in front of me except on the screen, so I couldn't like look at the slides at my own pace. So, yeah, I just feel like that was really fast. I don't know what questions I would have at this point.
Once we sent it out, if there's anything that pops up, our apologies for not getting it out in advance. Feel free to reach out. We're happy to go
Okay.
through it again.
Okay, thank you. What is the decision point today? There is a proposed motion, so there wouldn't really be time to have conversation.
We're asking today that you adopt the resolution to certify the property taxes so that we can meet the deadline, the statutory deadline to get this to the assessor's office.
Is this the, I'm looking at this, so there's that point where we have to make a representation that the 1% additional property taxes required is needed because of, you know what I'm talking about, like to get 1% more than the year before, you have to say, sign off a thing that says that it's, I forget the word, the legal verbiage, but that it's warranted based on the needs of the county.
Yes, I think that is in the resolution that will come forward with the budget adoption packet next week. So this is for levy certification, and then next week we
Okay,
have.
so this is that's separate than what this is. This is just the cold, hard calculation of the levy.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a proposed motion.
I move to approve the resolution to certify the 2026 property tax levies for the general fund, roads, Medic One, and conservation futures to be collected in 2026 and authorize a road levy shift in the amount of $4.7 million. Is that right? Yeah. And a road diversion to the current expense fund of $1.5 million.
I'll second.
Motion and second regarding the property tax levies for the 4 different accounts. General fund, roads, Medic One, and conservation futures. Discussion on the motion. Commissioner Grant.
Well, I just wondering if we could move this to tomorrow, because I probably am gonna vote yes on it. I just haven't been able to see the backup, and so I'm not ready to vote on it.
That's how I feel too. I feel like, I mean, it's clear that we have to do this to lock in the revenues, if that makes sense, but I would also like a little bit, like a day to just read through the packet.
It's tomorrow. Can we take action tomorrow?
Yeah, it's still before the time frame.
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably good and everything's fine. I just want a chance to understand all of it before I.
Is there any timing issues?
It's super kind of, it's procedural, but it's complex and it's understanding. You'd want it to kind of take a little more time. So I have any problem.
I withdraw my motion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Disagreement to putting this on tomorrow's agenda. Let's do it. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Let's go on to item 4, 5-year homeless housing plan update.
Hello, thank you. Jen Freiheit, Director of Public Health and Social Services. And I will just quickly say this is a request for the board to approve the 2025-2030 Thurston County Local Homeless Housing Action Plan. Tom and Jackie will be going over the PowerPoint with some more details so that we can submit this to Commerce by the end of the month. I'll turn it over to Tom.
Great, thank you. And just for clarification, I believe this will be on the agenda for next week for a formal approval. Today is just a presentation that we were asked to do. Here, can I have a clicker?
Oh, yes, sorry.
And I will go through this relatively quickly. We gave you a briefing back in August with an overview of the plan. This is a plan that's required by the Department of Commerce every 5 years. It is due by the end of this year, so we have until December 31st to submit it. There are several required components of the plan. The key one are really our strategies and objectives, a narrative for how we plan to address homelessness in the next 5 years. We have involved community stakeholders in this process. There's a public engagement process. We noticed the plan and we've been working on this since fall of 2024. We did a community survey this past winter, spring, as well as some listening sessions. And we've had a core group of stakeholders who've helped us and informed the development of the plan. We also had the public hearing, which you'll recall on October 21st. The objectives within the plan are required or set out by the Department of Commerce. So this is the language that comes directly from the Department of Commerce. So the first one is that promote an equitable, accountable, and transparent homeless crisis response system. The bullets under these are our strategies that we've developed. So those are things that we've developed. The bold is what's required from Commerce. The bullet points are the specific strategies that we have developed to address each objective. So the second one is strengthen the homeless service provider workforce. Prevent episodes of homelessness whenever possible. Fourth is to prioritize assistance based on the greatest barriers to housing, stability, and the greatest risk of harm. And the fifth one is to seek to house everyone in a stable setting that meets their needs. I'm happy to kind of go back and review any of those in more detail if you'd like, but we did present those previously. And then because we know we don't have enough money to fund everything that we would like to fund, the plan does lay out some resource allocation priorities. The first one being focused on maintaining our existing homeless response system. And then next, moving to improving the effectiveness of that system through improved coordination, data tracking, and leveraging existing non-housing resources. Looking to expand the capacity of the permanent response system to create multiple pathways to permanent housing, and then using existing capital resources to create new affordable housing units across a range of housing types. Again, we had a public hearing on October 21st. We also had a 30-day public comment period. During that, we received 13 public comments, 8 written comments, and then the 4 oral comments during that public hearing. So we have summarized those comments here. The first 2, we received some comments around looking for more housing production targets and regulatory and zoning reforms. That's really not the core purpose of this plan. This is really looking at our service sector, but we did make some adjustments to the plan to really make better connections with the comprehensive plans and jurisdiction zoning where that is more appropriate. This is not a capital development plan, but we tried to be responsive to those comments and making those adjustments to make clear connections to those appropriate documents. We also received comments around coordinated entry and broader system accountability. We believe the plan adequately addresses coordinated entry, so we didn't make any changes to the plans related to those specific comments. We think the plan incorporates what those commenters were looking for. We also received public comment around elevating outreach and shelter-in-place services, as well as expanding shelter capacity and accessibility. So we have added language to the plan to address those, to elevate and highlight both of those requests.
The second part of the first comment, so you said coordinated entry, you thought that it was adequate, but you didn't mention the comments on broader system accountability.
Yeah, also we do have that objective that specifically looks at accountability and transparency. So we have a whole objective that really is focused on that. So again, we do believe that the plan adequately addresses a system accountability.
And all the public comments are in the packet, summarized, not just in the PowerPoint.
Okay. Thank you. Also received comments around improving encampment resolution coordination. So we have added language to an existing strategy, as well as adding a task to explore barrier reduction to existing temporary shelter programs. And then finally, around expanding medical respite programs, there is a plan, there is a task in the plan that specifically addressed that, so we didn't make additional changes. Sorry, I feel like I'm rushing through this a little bit, but wanted to cover the highlights. There were a couple other public comments that were, we felt the plan also adequately addressed. Medical respite, just mentioned that one. Workforce sustainability, one of the things we tried to do is look for those opportunities to leverage existing systems and other resources. So there is language in the plan that addresses that. Equity and preventative investments. Again, equity is a key objective in the plan, so we feel we've addressed that. As well as accessibility for individuals with disabilities. So we feel there's language that does address that. Did want to acknowledge that there were a couple public comments around implementing a higher barrier mandatory treatment model, which is in contradiction to the guidance we have from Commerce in terms of how the plan, requirements of the plan. So we did not address those comments in the plan because we feel they're in opposition to the state guidance for the plan. So we are prepared. We have taken this to the Regional Housing Council. The November Regional Housing Council unanimously approved forwarding a recommendation to the board to approve this plan. And with that, our hope is to bring this next week for final board approval, but happy to answer any questions that you do have.
How do we ensure that this plan is being implemented and actually working? Like recently, I've been seeing a lot of it's anecdotal, but there's been a tremendous amount of YouTube videos and things like that. People from all over the country traveling to the encampment just a block away, and they're saying it's the, I don't know if this is true or not, but they're interviewing people in there, they're saying it's the largest homeless encampment in the entire state. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's an alarming thing to say. And they're interviewing people actually in the camp, and I'm seeing them say, nobody comes in here to help us. Nobody does anything for us. I don't know if that's true either, but like, I'm seeing these things and, you know, media going in and interviewing folks, and these are the things that are being said. What's the truth?
Excellent question, there's probably maybe a whole nother briefing just around that. So we do have outreach providers that we contract with that go and provide support to the camp. So there are folks going in and providing services. I would say for this plan, generally, we submit the plan, it does not just sit on a shelf. We are required every year to submit an annual update or an annual report to the Department of Commerce and to the public in terms of progress in implementing this plan. So there are annual reports that will follow this each year.
So is it the largest homeless encampment in the state now? Is that accurate, or is that like
That I don't know, I can't answer that question, I don't know what other.
And if that would be true, wouldn't that mean this plan isn't working, or is it working? I don't know.
I think what I would wanna clarify is that that encampment is, I believe, in the city of Olympia. And we have been informed by the city of Olympia that they are working on a strategy to clear that encampment. They recently cleared, is it the Percival?
Yes.
Encampment. You know, I think that I can't answer either, Commissioner Forner, if it's the largest, but I do know that there is service provided, quite often service provided. And so I think there's a focus on what the county can accomplish and then what we do when we partner with our cities.
If it's the biggest, it's because we used to have like 6 or 7 big ones and they've all been cleared.
Yeah, and they've all kind
So-
of coalesced to that one. That's
Yeah.
what I would
So it doesn't
see,
mean the
understand.
plan's not working, I mean, there could be an overall, you know, it could be, I mean, those are somewhat disconnected items, I mean, if you added up all the people from the 7 previous camps and it could
And
be.
it would mean it wasn't working because it didn't decrease the total folks that were, I mean, I'm, you know, if like they just all moved into one spot instead of, but it's the same amount of people, that would
Well, if
mean
it's the same amount of people.
I don't know.
Commissioner Klaus.
I just wanna say thank you to the staff for putting this together. I know it was a lot of really hard work, a lot of long conversations, hearing a lot of input from the public and even trying to figure out what to do with conflicting input. And I think you've done an amazing job at bringing all of those comments together and putting them, packaging them into this plan and being sure that you're cognizant of which pieces may or may not conflict with state guidance. We are working off of evidence-based models and staff are very, very sharp in that area. They know exactly what those models entail and how to implement them. Homelessness is complex. We can't just say that because the number of people who are unhoused is increasing means that a plan is not working when we've got economic factors playing into it, socioeconomic factors, lived experience that people, you know, it's hard to measure. A lot of it is, you know, we hear anecdotal things, we have different types of data coming forward that it's really, really hard to put all of that together and figure out exactly what factors play into it. But we do know that housing affordability, there are issues with housing affordability and that's the number one driver of homelessness. So economic factors play into this as well. You could house 100 people from the jungle and then 300 more people become unhoused this year and you could say the plan's not working, but we housed 100 people. So it's what metrics can we identify to be clear whether or not a plan is working? And staff are very good at bringing forward those metrics, at least to the Regional Housing Council. We used to have a homeless update, that's what it was called, from a previous staff person every Tuesday during agenda setting or every other, was it once a month when Keely would come in and give the homeless update?
During the beginning of COVID, it was every week and then it's
Okay.
transferred to once a
Yeah,
month.
I asked for that back in, because it was like there was so much going on and so much breaking news that like
Yeah.
I wanted the board to hear like on a weekly basis, like what's the newest breaking news at this camp or that camp or this effort or that effort, cause we were just constantly getting, I mean, I think all of our hard work, I can say, I mean, I'm sorry to interrupt your point,
No,
but
you're okay.
but like in the 7 years I've been here, like the fact that that is no longer a thing that's needed shows how much progress we've made in terms of kind of tamping down a lot of the I mean, they were burning fires every week, literally and figuratively, in homeless area. And we've got so many more projects on the ground, so many more places to get people a stability, and it's just, it's calmed down a lot, which to me says a lot about the success we've had. But back to you, I'm sorry to.
Right, no worries, I'm glad you answered that because I couldn't remember if it was every week, but I think that was a helpful update. I don't know if that's something that we wanna find some mechanism to get updates more often so that Commissioner Fournier's questions, I mean, those are valid questions that Commissioner Fournier has. A lot of people are asking those same questions. And we have subject matter experts at the county who could maybe help us kind of understand on a rolling basis what's going on. I know that the community still has the Greater Regional Outreach Workers League meetings. They used to do anti-sweep task force meetings, but it's a lot of providers. We have City of Olympia staff that come to that meeting. It's a weekly meeting. And the community is working really hard on this. So there is information out there to answer some of those questions that Commissioner Fournier has, but I know it can be hard to find that data. So if there's any way, I mean, I'd be happy to give more robust reports on what we're talking about at the RHC if there are specific data points that the board is interested in. But I think our team is doing a really good job.
I would encourage, to me, back when we were doing that, correct me if I'm wrong, we didn't have an RHC. The RHC was built kind of after that.
The CIP.
No, we still had them.
We still had it? Okay.
We, and part of the reasons we had them were because commissioners were interested in, it was right as we were doing the right-of-way program, and information was changing so much week over week that commissioners wanted that touch point with staff to kind of get an update on what was happening with the right-of-way. And so, I mean, we could do this like, instead of a weekly thing, have like an update once a month. I think that's what we reduced it to. We were having weekly updates and then we reduced it to like every month. And I think that was preferable, and then it kind of got
I
taken
think
off.
what I would like to do first is meet with commissioners to find out what their interest is and like what questions they have so that we can try to focus it in to figure out what we can have staff provide updates, because as Commissioner Klaus mentioned, there is work being done on this. If the commissioners want to weigh in at the policy level and see some of that work redirected, then we're happy to kind of unpackage that and take a look.
Yeah, I wanna understand information better. And I do understand that it is complex. And then, you know, different approaches to different communities influence the way that we're affected. And there's a tremendous amount of interplay, but understanding at least a little of what's going on helps us make other decisions in more informed manner. Or if this type of thing is frontal lobe, when we're having conversations about alternative ways to provide housing throughout the county, like ADUs, then, you know, like that helps inform our decisions, and we can't be making decisions on those things in silos when we've got other things over here going on in silos, is kind of like what I'm thinking about. And then, you know, like there's also like, when I'm watching, you know, I see these videos, there's a tremendous amount of environmental concerns in, if that is the largest encampment in the state, there's no facilities, there's no, you know, like there's, you know, open latrines probably in there. And those are real concerns with water quality and like how, I don't know, like it's, I don't know. You know, it's just, it's a concern, like, and I don't know. Commissioner Klaus.
Thank you. Commissioner Fournier is talking about a lot of things that I think about a lot. And so,
No,
and there
sure.
are valid concerns. And I'm also, you know, I serve on ORCA where we talk about clean air, and that is a huge concern when it comes to such a large encampment. There aren't any, you know, there's not enough space to put trash. So a lot of the fires are to burn trash, to discard of that because there's nowhere to put it. Some of them are survival fires because people are trying to stay warm. but you do have emissions concerns. And sometimes when I drive in, there's smoke everywhere. And we've had intercity transit right next door complaining because the air quality is so poor sometimes, and it's true, I've seen it as well. There are programs that are being worked out to deal with some of those environmental concerns as well, like support for clean wood, keeping it dry so that folks have things to burn that are not just trash and plastic and whatever they can find. So there are efforts being made, and you can do a lot with a little bit of investment. Like you could invest a couple $1,000s into a nonprofit to have them go into the camp and help remove trash. Those are kind of some simple solutions that have been worked out through Orca, Olympia Mutual Aid Partners, our staff. Like there are different things happening to try to address some of those environmental concerns, but they are really valid concerns.
I totally agree with you. And there was even a person that was murdered and burned in there, and it's absolutely
Yes.
tragic.
I know.
The fire department was attacked when they responded to a couple different fires in there. But if it was, it's privately owned property primarily, right? Most of
City
it?
of Olympia owns some of it.
The city of Olympia owns some of it, and then some of it's private.
Correct.
But if anybody else did things like that on their property and we're doing environmental damage and we're having Orca complaints, wouldn't that private landowner be being fined by Orca, being fined by environmental health for allowing those types of things to occur? Usually we get cooperation from the private landowner or the city itself, like we would be fining them for allowing those types of things. Does that not happen when the private landowner is, I don't understand that.
I don't wanna answer for Orca.
How does that work? Cause if I did that at my house, I'd get a ticket.
And we've had conversations with Orca around this, and we've contracted with.
I'm not saying
them to help
ticket the
do that.
homeless person that's doing the survival fire, but like if you've got 100 acres and you're dumping motor oil out on that land, you'd be getting fined. But if you're allowing people, to live there and do that, it's different. I can't reconcile that.
I think we can take these questions back and follow up.
Cause environmental health has jurisdiction over that property, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, as far as the task at hand, it sounds like we have some follow-up maybe on the broader questions of how to monitor. I think what the commissioners are really interested in, just to summarize maybe what I hear my colleagues saying is like, just being a little better keyed in, like, let's find a way to be a little better keyed into, as you guys have to report every year as how the plan's doing, like, we'd like to know monthly or quarterly how the plan's doing. Cause we get asked everywhere we go. And I never feel comfortable saying, I don't know, I haven't heard about that in 6 months or whatever. Like, that's never a good answer for an elected official. We kind of need to know, like, what's the latest and greatest on the key the key housing, homeless response initiatives, camp statuses, all that stuff. Maybe a quarterly or make sure. I would actually, as the Regional Housing Council has grown, it may have existed when our weekly updates happened, but it was new. And so as it's grown and we have a person, Commissioner Klaus and, Kenny, you attend sometimes too, right? Like, you guys could come back during Commissioner check-in. It's perfect time to go, hey, here's the latest and greatest on what RHC heard about. Cause I'm sure RHC is hearing about things in more depth than we are. So anyway, that's one way to funnel information to the board. I'm sure there could be others.
Yeah, and I did give a report out when the city of Olympia mentioned that the jungle is gonna be their next focus. So I'm happy to keep, and I try to hear what my colleagues are saying and make sure I'm reporting on that, so I can keep doing that.
Yeah,
and-
just be aware, you have one of the high profile
Yeah,
assignments and
absolutely.
there's more board interest than maybe there is on, what's going on at Lot or whatever.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you. And so it sounds like the board's comfortable moving with the homeless plan. We're gonna have this on the agenda next week.
Yes,
Okay, very good. Thank you, guys.
thank you.
Let's move forward. We have public comment pilot review. And I think we all know what this is. We started this new process for public comment and we said, let's try it for 6 months, see how it works, and now we're at that point. Commissioner Forney, I'll give you the floor since it was your brainchild in a way. You and I talked about different proposals. How do you think it's gone? Do you wanna keep it?
I mean, there's no perfect system, but I do like that it provides more opportunity for public comment. And I think we've seen kind of a healthier public comment period. It allows at the outset for people to come up and speak specifically about the things that we're working on before we talk about them. And then it gives them another opportunity to recap or hash out or jazz on whatever they want to cover. You know, like you and I have talked about, it almost seems like it's easier in some ways for people to schedule it the way it's set out. So I haven't been disappointed. I do think it works a little better than we had been doing.
I'll say two things about it, one of which would be kind of ironic because so for one, the main criticism that I've heard from community members is about, like, oh, do I have to wait through the whole meeting, to give the public comment for the general items? And that would be more valid to me if we weren't being so more aggressive about our consent agenda. And so we used to have, like we're gonna have, now I say it's ironic because the meeting we're gonna have next week is gonna be an old style meeting with a lot of department items. So, but that's the end of the year rare meeting. But that used to be how every meeting was. And there would be people that have, and so I would probably have, that would have probably been enough to sway me back to the original thing if that's how our meetings were. But that's not how our meetings are anymore. We use the consent agenda more aggressively and there's not that many department items. I'll say the second thing I wanted to say is just as a chair, I kind of like it because, and this is just me, maybe other chairs would not feel this way, but everybody knows I'm kind of like, I'm kind of detail oriented. I get nervous when we've got a long agenda or we've got business items and then here comes 100 people I didn't anticipate to talk about some union issue or community issue or homeless issue or whatever issue that has nothing to do with the business. And then I'm sitting there listening to it while like we've got a whole business agenda in front of us. And that, it just as the chair, I get kind of nervous, like should I be cutting people off more aggressively? Should I have reduced the amount of time? Like it's much more relaxing for me to get the business agenda done and then I can just lay back and go, however many people want to talk about their thing, I'm much more open to hear it. It takes my stress level down. So I kind of like it from just a meeting management perspective, but like I say, it's not, our meetings are pretty quick now, and so I don't know that it, so I mean, I'm slightly in favor of keeping it, but I'd like to hear what others think. Anybody else? Commissioner Klaus?
Thank you. I'm just kind of, I want to hear more about what Commissioner Fournier is sharing with, like, your perspective on it being easier. I think you mentioned, I was trying to kind of take notes to make sure I was clear on what folks thought, but allowing for more public comment with specifics at the outset, easier in some ways for people to schedule it, and thinking it works a little better than the previous format. And those were Commissioner Fournier's comments that I was able to take down. But I'm looking at a packet that we all received with a petition signed by community members that say the exact opposite. And I'm just curious where you're getting your information about it being easier. Like, have constituents come to you and said, thank you, this is easier? Or is that something that is like your own perspective based on our meetings? Because the comments that we received are pretty, like, I don't know what the word would be, not aggressive, but just like firm. Like, we've got comments saying that there's no time available, that people are taking time off work, and they're not sure when they're gonna be able to speak on general matters. Constituents are saying that we're putting roadblocks in the way, that we're very inconsiderate of members of the public. We need leaders that show their constituents that they are valued and heard. And then one comment saying, we love the Thurston County Commissioners. We have helped them get elected. We trust them. We trust their views. Please do not restrict the public's ability to testify before the BOCC. So these aren't just people who are angry. They're also people who are saying, like, thank you for the work you do and we want to come speak with you. A couple comments that are kind of repetitive throughout this packet say that nobody knows when the end of the meeting will be. So if you want to testify, you have to sit through the whole meeting to get only 3 minutes, and it's a strong deterrent to public participation. It also kind of gets tricky when we have our public hearings that sometimes interrupt the meeting because we have to do those at 3:30, and then we can't do public comments until after the public hearings. So sometimes we do have really long meetings where people have to sit for an unknown amount of time. So, and there are a lot of comments, I won't read through all of them because that would take a long time, but there is a packet that we all received and I'm happy to send it to the clerk.
I read it and I think it went
Okay.
out when we first, like the first week or two when we changed that, if it's the same one that I recall. So it was like, it was public input. So if I send out an email to 100 people and I say, the county commissioners are doing this thing and I don't like it, send them an email. Right? That's, you gotta hear what they're saying, but that also doesn't reflect the next 6 months of investigations that we've done.
Right.
And so like I have received feedback from individuals and I've also witnessed the change. And, Commissioner Menzer, I completely agree with him when he says that, it allows, like the most important work that we have to do is to conduct the business of the county. That involves getting public input and we've created more opportunity for public input.
But that's not how, no, because you interrupted me actually first, so I just, no, I wasn't done. I wanted to, like, the feedback we're getting actually says the opposite. People don't feel like they have more opportunity, they feel like they have less opportunity. And I understand the intent, and I don't think that it was a bad intention, but I do think that the impact has been, it has not been what the intent was set out to do. We've heard from a lot of people that they just feel like this is impossible to come talk to us. They feel like it's disrespectful of their time. It's hard for working people to come in, and we've actually heard from employees that they're taking time off to come in and speak with us, which I think is not right. And then at the beginning of this, at the outset of the pilot program, one of the points that was made to justify it, which I thought was a good point, was that commissioners felt bad for people who would come in and spill their heart out and for 4 minutes and then have to leave with no feedback. And so one of the intentions was to allow for feedback at the end, at the last public comment portion. And I've continuously tried to keep my eye out and ear out for when that's happening, when we're doing back and forth a little bit, and it's not happening very often. We're still doing the public comments at the end and moving right on to the next person without giving feedback all the time. So that intention hasn't actually played out the way that I think we were hoping. And I haven't heard a single positive thing about the pilot program. I've heard a lot of people say that this has just been harmful and has limited their ability to come talk to us. So I understand it's being pushed out as like more opportunity to come engage, but that's just not the impact. That's not how people feel.
Commissioner Grant, I saw your hand next. Can't hear you.
You're on mute.
Oh, whoops. Yeah, I'm gonna say, I don't know that I'm on the fence around the whole thing. And so I don't have necessarily opinion one way or another. I think it's fine the way that it is. And, but I, am okay with it going the other way too. I want to just check in really quick. I am at the Chamber meeting, and do we have another item after this?
Executive session on a piece of litigation.
So we do have an executive session?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know if that was the one we were talking about earlier or not.
No, the one we were talking about earlier was like an impromptu one that we're not gonna do, but the one that's scheduled under item 6 is still supposed to occur.
Okay, all right, well then I will go sit in my car and stay on here.
Thank you, Commissioner Grant. Commissioner Mejia.
I've heard both negative and positive about our public comment pilot review. And, I think the people who I've heard positive comments were hesitant about it at first. And as it's progressed, I've heard very positive feedback from it. And then also, in terms of the feedback piece, for me, after a meeting is done, it allows me time to just round up with, constituents, after that. Usually if there's something that I need to follow up, I've seen the county manager go right after a meeting, or I've gone after a meeting. There was a group of constituents that came, and they provided public comment in terms, and I think it was me and Commissioner Menzer went out, and the county manager joined us, and we had a conversation with them about following up. And so it's allowed, maybe not right here, but I think what, the feedback was more of like, once a meeting is done, instead of going to another whole process, it allows that availability for commissioners to step down from the dais and have those conversations with constituents, which I feel like it has allowed me. I also feel like Commissioner Grant, you know, things are fine the way they are for me, but you know, I'm kind of like on the fence on this matter. So I feel kind of the same way as Commissioner Grant does. I'll say that after that first meeting where it was kind of patchy, I was just, you know, like very nervous about continuing it just because I felt like there was, you know, people waiting and there was like this whole, it was one of the meetings where we had so many department items and then we had public hearings and it was just,
It was like the worst meeting to implement,
yeah, to implement it. And so it was, I felt like, you know, that meeting, I was just like, oh, I'm not sure if this is going to work out. But as time has kind of progressed on this, we're able to get through our meetings pretty quickly because a lot of them are on consent items. And then when you also remove kind of the community reports, the commissioner's community reports to after that piece, I think that also has helped. So, yeah.
Commissioner Grant.
Hand's still up from earlier.
Oh, I thought I saw it way up here. I was, I don't remember, Commissioner Klaus, when you were saying that we were gonna be able to go back and forth. I mean,
That wasn't my intent when I said
don't
it
remember
earlier.
us
It was
discussing
exactly
that.
as Commissioner Mejia stated.
Yeah, I do remember that, but
It was also in the news release, sorry to interrupt you.
one more thing I was gonna say. The other thing I was gonna say is just that we don't, you know, we get public comment on specific issues that get people fired up, but like people that just wanna speak to us about things, it's like there aren't that many. And we did a pilot with like, people said, well, it's disrespect, all the things that you said that were kind of aggressive.
Yeah.
We had the same thing about having meetings in the afternoon, so we did like once a month, a meeting in the evening, so people, and we did that for like 9-month pilot, and literally no one showed up to it ever.
Really?
So we just gave up, we just like, well, this is just a burden on everyone, and it didn't create any new public commenters or additional public comment. So I mean, when I hear people say, you know, oh, well, you're restricting me, and there's so many ways to reach us, it doesn't resonate quite as much as just you would think on the surface, because I've gone through those experiences of like, you know, we know, you know, if somebody's fired up about an issue, they find a way to let us know, either coming here on this particular Tuesday or an email or a phone call or whatever, setting up a meeting with me. I do all those things all the time. The people that wanna just kind of generally provide public comment, I just don't see all the different things we've done to try to make it easier or different, it's never really changed just the 2 or 3 people that are always here
Yeah.
to say their piece. Commissioner Fournier, and then I'll go back to Commissioner Clark.
The meeting is a meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. It is a meeting that we're having amongst ourselves with the public witness, right? So it's not for us to have back and forth with the public. That's not what's supposed to happen. It's a meeting where we meet and they watch and they can comment on the things, but the feedback, it's never supposed to be a back and forth between the members of the public and the folks sitting on the dais. Having it at the end allows for us to go and, like Commissioner Mejia said, go talk to somebody about a certain thing, but you know, we live in an era of unprecedented access to government. Like no, don't roll your eyes, we do, it's true.
I'm not rolling my eyes.
Absolutely true. And what we've done, I feel, with this change is we have increased the amount of minutes and the time that the public can come in and provide comment. We've just tweaked it and had a little more structure, because it is our primary responsibility when we have those meetings is to conduct the business that's on the agenda and get those things done. And the most important things to get set out are the public comment on those things that we're about to go over. And then we conduct the business items because those need to get done. Those are all timely. And then once we have got those done, we stop and we set aside a time for general comment. And we have an opportunity now to talk to the public after they've done that. So there's people that have put in those comments in your page that they feel it restricts public access. I don't see that. I see increased public access, honestly. and we've created more structure that allows for more effective communication and more actual participation. Because when somebody comes in and they're upset about something, they want some type of resolution on something, and they go in and they give, their public comment at the very beginning of the meeting, but it's really important because we need to move on to the property tax levy, the 5-year homeless plan, all these other things. That important thing is often forgot about by the end of the agenda because we're so frustrated and we're ready to go. So I feel it creates a false sense of engagement. And so it's just not structured right where people can get their needs met or, have that actual, interaction. So yeah, I do feel that the change sets up for better engagement.
That kind of dovetails with what I said up front, where it puts me in a better commissioner headspace to receive and disseminate public comment that's random versus putting it where I've got all these big votes that I'm gonna take and meeting I have to thing and people hitting me with stuff. It's hard for my headspace to really handle that. That's my problem, but I mean, I'm the person that they wanna affect and they want my full attention. So it just works better for me toward the end, but yeah.
So I don't disagree with some of the points being made. I think that we might, I don't know, I think we have different perspectives on which pieces of the agenda are the most important, as is being stated, because in my opinion, as public servants, the most important thing we can do is listen to the community. So I have a totally different perception of public comment. That's like my favorite part of the agenda, and I know that's not the case for every elected official. But I think that there's a way to reconcile the couple things that I'm hearing, which is that from the community, I'm hearing that in-person public testimony remains one of the most meaningful tools residents have to participate directly with their government. I'm hearing that it's impossible for people to come because they don't know what time they're gonna be able to speak. But I'm also hearing that it works better for the chair of the board, it seems to work better for some commissioners. There has to be a way to reconcile the needs of the community with the needs of the board. And maybe it's just making a couple tweaks to where we have our public hearing set at a certain time. What if we had our public comment set at a certain time at the end so people knew when they could come talk about general matters? I think that right there would alleviate a lot of the concerns that I'm reading and hearing. So I wanna make sure we're listening and we're responsive to the things we're hearing from the community while also not sacrificing the structure that is needed to conduct our regular business. And there has to be a way to do both.
I would say two things to that. One is that I understand the concept, but it would be some meetings are so different. I mean, more often than not, we have to adjourn, or not adjourn, but just leave and come back for the public hearing at 3:30. And so that's not how you'd wanna do public comment. Secondly, it's false that it's so, I mean, it always, even the way it is now, it's after presentations, which we've, once a month, we stop for half an hour and take pictures and have a reception out there. I mean, sometimes we have 4 of them and there's multiple speakers. So I mean, it's not like they're getting any kind of set time. I mean, literally, the way it is under the old system, it could be anywhere from 2:10 to 2:45, okay? And I don't think that it's all, with our aggressive use of the consent agenda, I don't think it's all that much more. I mean, we're talking about a few minutes. I mean, it's really about the structure, the actual time that people are, I mean, it's possible, next Tuesday, that people will have to wait a lengthy period of time that would be meaningful, but what I've seen is 4 out of 5 meetings, it's a matter of minutes, the difference almost, for us to just pass the consent agenda, handle a couple department items. Here we are at public comment on general matters, but everything's done. And then we can have 100 people come in, it's no big deal. So I don't know, I just feel like it's kind of, your points are not invalid to me, but they're overstated, I think, in what I've seen over the last 6 months and how it plays out.
Yeah, and respectfully, I feel the same about your comments. They are valid comments, but I think that we should be measuring these things if we're gonna be saying 4 out of 5 meetings is a couple minutes. I think you might not be wrong, but I think I'd like to see the data if we're gonna say things like that to analyze how this pilot program is working. We didn't actually set those metrics when we first set out to do this, so perhaps there's another way we could approach it to move forward, to make sure that we're hearing the concerns of the constituents and responding to them in a way that's like data driven and not just based off, because we are biased when it affects our ability to focus, our ability to engage, our ability to be present with the current items we're talking about, and that's important for us to be able to function as a board in a way that's best serving the public. So all of these concerns are totally valid, but if we're gonna be saying the community's wrong, this is more time to comment.
Nobody's saying.
I don't know what kind of metric you're gonna come up with to assess my stress level.
Not that, I'm saying like the amount of people who leave, the amount of people who, has the public comment actually increased since we initiated this pilot program? Has it decreased? Like, we don't know. We're kind of guessing unless we see the data. And we don't really have a person to measure that. We don't have like staff capacity, I don't think, to try to assess like.
I think that that's a very accurate statement.
Right, yeah, so the only data we have to go off of is our own experience and the public comments. And
That's all we're doing.
everything I see in the public comments, if there are positive comments, I'd love to see them, because I would love to balance out what I'm seeing. But all I've seen and heard are negative. So it's just really hard to take what I'm hearing from the board and say that, like, okay, let's just continue with the structure because I'm hearing so much backlash. And it's my job to be responsive to that type of thing. So I think we should really consider that.
Yeah, I don't think any of us are saying that the community is wrong, but again, like I've heard positive, I've gone every meeting, I come down and I talk to constituents and I'm asking them these questions and and I've heard a lot of positive remarks, and as the time has gone on, that's increased from different members that have come in and provided public comment. I've also heard, negative comments from people as well, and so, I think just relying on just the comments that we've received and written, right, without like saying like, okay, like opening it up, I don't think that's a fair assessment either. So I don't know, Chair, just what next steps, I don't know. Is this just a discussion point or?
Well, I don't know, I guess if it was set up as a pilot, we need to keep it, I don't know what the procedure is. I mean, we can make a motion to keep the process, we can make a motion to change the process.
I think that's accurate, Chair.
Commissioner Klaus.
All right, well, I don't know how the board will respond to this, but I'm gonna make a motion to amend the pilot program and extend it for another 6 months. The amendment is to allow general comments to be made at the start of the meeting if a community member has a time constraint and can't stay for the end of the meeting.
How would we know that that's the case?
Well, they would, in person, they have the sign-up sheet, they can put the topic. If they start talking and it's not about an agenda item, we don't stop them. We can say, hey, this is on a general matter, it's not on the agenda. You're welcome to give your comment now, or there's another public comment period at the end where we can hear more about general matters, something along those lines. That way, if someone comes in and they have an item that's not on the agenda, they don't have to sit and wait for an undefined amount of time. So then it would really be the preference of the person giving the comment, whether they want to do it at the beginning or wait till the end, where they can actually have commissioners come down and engage with them one-on-one. I think that is a valuable thing to have. As Commissioner Mejia stated a few times, she's used that as an opportunity to connect and engage with constituents. I think that's a good thing. But I also think we shouldn't force people to wait until the end if they have to get back to work or pick up their kids or feed their dog or whatever they have to go do. Should I restate the motion?
Sure.
Okay, I move to extend the pilot program another 6 months with the amendment that the first public comment period be opened up to general matters or items on the agenda.
Is there a second? Hearing no second.
I'll second.
Okay, a second. Discussion on the motion. I will say that I don't think that's workable. Because however you state it, It'll be abused by people that just don't wanna wait, but they don't really have any good reason. It'll create an expectation that commissioners are gonna respond to them at the end, which is, we do it, but it's the exception, not the rule. If you start saying like, well, if you wanna wait, so a commissioner will respond to your thing, now you've created that expectation, and that's not always possible or tenable or appropriate, so I don't like the structure of that myself. Other discussion? Commissioner Grant?
Yeah, I don't know that it will work either, so I will say this though. If I have received about 2 or 3 negative comments about the current structure. I know I should have said this earlier, but and I haven't really received any positive, and so it's kind of like, to me, if we've got some people who are really struggling with it, I don't know why we wouldn't just switch it back. If none of us are feeling like we want to die on the hill, kind of thing. We've had negative comments, and so I don't think any of us are like, this is the best thing in the whole entire universe and we should keep it this way either. And so I just kind of want to say that. So I'm willing to second this with Emily, just because I'm willing to do something different if there are people who are not feeling supported or heard.
I just wanna say, I would rather go back to the old than use what Commissioner Klaus has suggested. I think it's way too cumbersome.
I would say the old way wasn't working. I mean, like, it wasn't working, and like, we have an agenda that we have to get through, and doing 2-3 hours of public comment prior to that about something that's an unrelated topic that may be important, right? That me saying that that's not the appropriate time is not me saying that that subject isn't important, right? When we come in for these meetings, we have an agenda that we have to get through, right? We've set that agenda up for weeks, and that is the business that needs to be conducted. That's not saying that those comments aren't important. That's just saying that we have to get through that agenda, and setting it up to where there's 3 hours of public comment on an unrelated topic, it doesn't stage us to be able to conduct the county's business that we're there to do. So it wasn't working. So I don't think going back to it would be the best move. I would maybe, go ahead, you got.
Commissioner Klaus is next.
I was thinking maybe we extend the trial period and allow Commissioner Klaus to conduct some, metrics or something like that. But, like, if we're looking for some type of objective information, but it wasn't working.
Commissioner Klaus.
Thank you. Just a couple things. Okay, so I don't think that we need to figure this all out right now. We're past time. I understand that. I'm glad that we were able to put this on the agenda. A couple of comments I had to Commissioner Mensah. You made a comment about potential abuse of the general comment period if we were to do it the way that my motion suggests. I'm willing to rescind the motion if we're not ready to figure out all those details today. But I think framing things as potential abuse of a general comment period kind of puts the community in a bad light. I don't think that people are coming forward to be abusive of the systems that we have in place and give comment when they shouldn't. I was just a little bit confused about that comment.
What I mean is that if your intent is to limit the first period to items on the agenda or someone that has a time, like a pressing issue, they've left work or whatever, and you open that opportunity, hey, if you need to leave, any way you phrase it, people are gonna go, I need to leave. I mean, it's a slippery slope kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're gonna have everyone giving public comment up front, and you've just, there's no point in having the bifurcated system.
My thought on that is that we might have constituents who would prefer to stay till the end because they want to hear the meeting. So I think let's let people and we don't have to, like I said, I'm willing to take the motion back, but we don't have to make those, we're assuming what the impact is gonna be. We're not listening to what we've seen in writing and heard. So we're again kind of assuming everyone's gonna wanna give a comment at the beginning so they don't have to wait, but hopefully people will want to wait till the end because they're able to, see what the commissioners are up to after the meeting and come talk to us. I don't think that we have to set that as like a precedent or an expectation by saying to people, hey, come talk to commissioners at the end of the meeting if you wanna wait. That's not really what I'm suggesting, but perhaps we could have, some, like, I'm happy to do what Commissioner Fournier suggested, and I can conduct some sort of metrics analysis. I can get with Amy and look at the sign-in sheets and watch the videos and figure out all of that. I'm happy to do that. Maybe we could have a public hearing about this issue, since we have a petition right here with 92 signatures on it, and I've gotten at least another 30 to 40 comments either in my email or in, people will call me or text me on my work phone and be like, hey, this is not working. So maybe we could have a public hearing about it to give people an opportunity to say how they feel, so that we're not just sitting here as a board making assumptions about what the impact is gonna be on the public. The last thing is, the comment Commissioner Fournier made that it wasn't working the old way. I'm just wondering, like, how do you know that? I never heard anything about it not working until we changed it, so.
My own eyes. My own experience, but can I make this is an important point I'd like to make.
I think
This
Commissioner
is,
Mejia was next.
I know, but like, ultimately, this is not a law, right? If somebody comes into our commission meetings and they want to go up during the first public comment, Commissioner Mentzer's not gonna tackle them if they talk about something off topic. It is a request so that we can, it is not a law, it is not criminal if you go up, and we've seen people do it, Mr. Ballard goes up and he takes one little sliver off something that, and then goes off on a completely different tangent, and it has nothing to do with items on the agenda. So like really, if a citizen came in and they were hard pressed on their time, I really don't think Commissioner Mentzer would tackle them if they went up to give public comment and leave. Just to be totally honest, like, let's be real. Like, this does not really limit anyone from doing anything in reality. It's a nice expectation so that we can try to get the county's business done first before anything else, and that's it.
We do have unhoused and neurodivergent people come in and share that they have these barriers, and we don't do anything about it. So I'm just thinking in terms of accessibility, like, we can't judge someone for going off on a tangent if they have a brain injury.
No, I'm not.
Like that
No,
people
I'm
have
saying, no,
different-
I'm not saying that. I never said that. I said that you're not going to get in trouble if you don't follow the guideline. We're just asking that people do.
I didn't say you said that. I'm saying we're making assumptions, like the way that we treat people when they come in to speak does not promote accessibility and equity. It doesn't. I could go off on a tangent about that, but I won't. But we've had people come in and disclose their disabilities to us and not do anything to accommodate them. And that's
That's a different subject.
it's not really, but
I'm,
it happens during public comment, so.
Commissioner Mejia.
Thank you. I gave, at the beginning, I kind of gave kind of that initial, but then I guess in one way where I saw it work was where the sheriff's office public comment piece, and we had, I'm not sure how many people we had.
100.
200.
People show up
100.
and, it allowed us to get through with our business piece of the meeting, right? And then just stay and listen to public comment on a very important issue, right? I think like every I take all the public comment that we get very seriously, right? But, sit without thinking of like, we have to stop, right? And I think we did have to pause because we had a public hearing at that time, and, but that was one of the ones where I was just like, okay, like, right, like that's the other side of things where it allowed, the board to just not be thinking about getting through our agenda and getting through those items, but instead just really focus on the community members that were coming in. And we had climate too, people advocating about, our budget and our climate priorities, and
Tree advocate, I mean, that's exactly the kind of meeting where I like the process, because it's like a nuclear bomb on the meeting. We didn't see comment, we didn't know, the community's organizing. It's not just one person expressing their point of view. That would fit within the normal thing, fine, but it's when people get upset about something and they decide, this is the meeting, we're gonna go tell the commissioners, and they get 100 people, and now all of a sudden that's injected in the front end of a meeting. I don't think it's a good orderly process. I'd rather have that meeting, I think exactly what you described, I thought worked pretty well. and it helped me deal with that in a way as chair that I thought was more sensible.
Because with the previous process, and we had this happen multiple times, was of then trying to get through the agenda afterwards, was sometimes very difficult, right? Because then we also have to think like staff that are coming in here, and there were issues with that. And so that was one example. I mentioned one bad example in the beginning of my comments, and so I'll mention one of the positive ones.
Offutt Lake, remember we had like 2 hours of comment on that, just at one random meeting, cause Offutt Lake folks got themselves organized. We've had it for the tree advocates when we were talking about, I mean, it's about quarterly, I'd say, there's an issue that, and we've had it for a union issue once about workers, about an unresolved contract. We didn't know that was the meeting they were gonna choose, had nothing to do with that day's agenda, had to do with county business. We definitely wanted to hear all those voices, but I don't know, it's Commissioner Klaus, I saw your hand.
I just was thinking maybe me and you could get together, or, well, we can't, all three of us, but maybe Ty, me and you could get together, since you're the chair and you're the one that reads the remarks before comments. Maybe a couple tweaks to the remarks to make it a little bit more flexible, where we request that you comment on agenda items at the beginning, instead of I just make it a little bit more flexible so people read it and they're like, okay, I should wait till the end, but I can't, I'm gonna say it in the beginning, cause it says you request instead of you know.
There might be a way to do that.
Yeah, so maybe we could just get together and do that
Okay,
and come back later.
so I'm gonna make a suggestion that we keep the process. Commissioner Klaus and I will powwow on something or
Okay.
have a meeting about, how we might be able to shape it a little bit to allow a little more flexibility, but generally keep the structure.
Okay, that
Is
sounds
that
good.
okay?
So I'll
for
withdraw
now?
my motion.
No.
And if I could just add, I think that as a board, we're making great progress in documenting like the bylaws, and I would just encourage that it is, well, whatever the board decides, the clarity for the community on our rules of order for the meeting is that, they say, clarity is kindness. It helps set the board up for success, and it helps set the community members, whatever the board decides to do, knowing what they can and cannot do. Because there are times where things do get tense. There are things that the commissioners have to engage in that are extremely important to the community. And folks will come in, and it's not always easy for the chair to have to moderate and keep people focused. So I think that the board's decision to be open to how does it facilitate that? We have had some meetings where there are a record number of people coming. And so I think that those rules of order are really important. And just, I know it wasn't the point of the conversation, but it is not a good practice for commissioners to engage in a back and forth with public speakers. In this context, I haven't seen it go well. In another context, I haven't seen it go well. Because it's just not necessarily set up for that kind of dialogue. So just some thoughts from the staff side, but and we're happy to, clerk and I are happy to help in any way we can.
Thank you.
Okay, if that's done, we're gonna move to our executive session under item 6 pursuant to RCW 4230-110-1I to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency matters relating to agency enforcement actions, or to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency litigation or potential litigation to which the agency governing body or member acting in official capacity is or is likely to become a party. When public knowledge regarding the discussion is likely to result in an adverse legal or financial consequence to the agency. 20 minutes, board action may follow. It is 10:36. We'll be in executive session to 10:56.
12:36.
And 12:36. We'll be in executive session until
Brian,
12:56.
we need a full 20. Do we need a full 20 on this one?
It depends on questions, but I can't imagine.
Recording in progress.
All right, it's 12:51. We've come out of our executive session, got the live stream back up. We're at the end of we don't have time for commissioners' items, so we're at the end of the agenda. We have Board of Health later and we'll have another work session tomorrow. Thanks everybody for a long morning. We're adjourned.